three coplanar points.
The Earth is
and bam,
very
there's
flat.
the radius of the Earth.
On the level.
The way I phrase it is a monument to the curvature of the Earth. It really
totally
is.
agree.
Level. It really
totally
is.
agree.
Level.
And bam, there's the radius of the Earth.
And the reason that I would use that is I can move a theodolite quickly, I can have my sight sticks move quickly, I can take many more measurements in a day using a theodolite than I can using a water level, because I'd physically have to move that water level, then recalibrate it every fucking time I move it, and that would take more time. So therefore, it is less efficient. Therefore, this is why we use the instruments we do.
Did you say recalibrate a water level?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to make sure it's back on level, aren't you?
Recalibrate?
Bev is here. Now you're going to get it now. So the experts here.
I actually have a job, chemo, so I work with a living.
Down. Ah, you ran away. But Crit,
Are you going to answer the question now?
Crit, carry on.
No, you're going to answer the question. You said you'd answer it when you got back with your cup of tea. What is your definition of measurable?
Well, I mean, again, it's when we can calculate a set
with
of
using
parameters.
what calculations do
so
you use?
We agree that level is
I don't
horizontal.
agree with that. No, I don't agree with that at all.
No, that's what everyone agrees.
Who's everyone?
So if you're trying to make a measurement,
that's all right.
What's no?
I want you to answer the question, Chemo. The definition of measurable.
You just nailed it.
You've got to do this, you've got to do that.
It levels horizontal. That's all you need to know right there.
With being able
No,
to measure
that's three words. That's three words.
When will you concede
That
or
explains
acquiesce?
nothing.
When will you concede or acquiesce that this is a null and void point?
Well, if we were acquiescing, we'd just do
making
nothing,
sense, yeah.
And nobody's conceding because horizontal does not necessarily mean level, and level does not
No,
necessarily
it means
mean horizontal.
horizontal. It means it's horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
Now everyone knows what horizontal means. Yes.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with the Panama Canal is the main reason they got locks in is because of the tidal differences between the Atlantic and the Pacific.
Yeah, but
No, because it goes up into a mountain. That's why. It has nothing. And once it gets to the two oceans, they drop back down to the same.
So you're saying that the tidal difference between the two oceans had nothing to do with the design and construction of the Panama Canal?
Yes, no, it's the elevation of the land. The water needs to get over it.
Yes. Bev is here. Now you're going to get it now. So the experts here. And
Oh
Bev,
my
explain
God.
that one.
Here we go. This will be good.
Hold on, Mippet. So Bev, how do we explain measurable? What do you mean by measurable?
Well, that was a question to you. It was your definition because it was your standard that we were trying to address.
I
not
gave
anybody
it
else's.
first. I just gave it. Mippet was like, no, but Crit was like, yeah. And then
Three words, Chemo. You gave 3 words. That mean nothing. What is your definition?
Concede. He gave you an answer. Concede. You're holding up the discussion.
No, he is. By not answering.
You are by continuing to ask a null and void point.
Because he can't answer it himself.
Okay, I've got a question. What's the unit of measurement for flat? What do you use to measure flat?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. Yeah, there you go.
That's not a unit. What's the unit? Is it meters, inches, millimeters? That's
It's
a unit.
horizontal. You measure the
furlong?
difference from that.
Okay, that's fine.
baseline.
Whatever.
Spades.
Do you all get it?
Proving
now?
yet again that flat earthers don't compare to what the rest of the world uses.
Listen.
Keep up.
This is how. Hold on. This is how we establish the measurement. Bev, say it again because I don't want to steal it or
Well, measurement's a physical process, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah,
like
it is. So
it's
what unit do you
differentiated
use
from
to
a
measure
calculation, right? Isn't it? A calculation is not a measurement. A measurement's a physical process
what
where
is
you
the unit
actually
you
measure
use
something.
to measure flat, Bev?
You
Do you use
use
meters, inches, millimeters? What do you use, kilometers?
You use a tool called a level. That establishes a horizontal plane of reference.
That's not a
which
unit
you
of measurement.
measure
No, the level is level.
from.
Oh my
How
God.
do you know that a level is level then?
Because you go and get it calibrated, don't you?
Of level and that which
Oh,
supports
so
the
you've got to
conversion.
use man-made stuff to calibrate this thing.
Well, an
But
auto
you-
level, yeah, but not a water
but
level.
it's
You
no.
wouldn't calibrate
Oh,
a
I
water
see.
level,
The one
would
that
you?
doesn't work for you.
What do you mean
The
the
one
one
that
that
didn't
doesn't
work
work
for
for
you.
me? It works perfectly.
Rip it. How is this hard to understand? I mean, do you understand what Bev is saying? We're not talking about numbers
You
one,
don't
two,
really. No, it's not about me, Chemo. It's all about you. Remember?
All right, but we're not using measurements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All we're establishing is the horizontal. The horizontal.
Well,
You understand vertical, horizontal?
the horizontal or a horizontal is not a measurement.
No,
This is what we're
that's your
trying to work
baseline.
out.
It's your baseline.
What is a horizontal? How many whatevers makes a horizontal?
Position,
Three
isn't
Deb's
it?
arms
In
makes a
reality,
horizontal,
that
or is
is
it
perpendicular to a vertical, right? What else do you need? We can go right down to the basics if you want.
And why are
I
you
think it needs to be
asking?
done.
Why are you asking a question you already know the answer to?
They don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't know this stuff. They need to be taught this.
Real quick, just
They
to
don't
interject,
know millimeters and centimeters.
for the claim that I made for the Panama
think they
Canal
do.
with the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans at different heights. Essentially, I did provide measurements and the scientific study for scientific journal for these claims in the chat. Crit, I'm still waiting for your claims and the source for your claims.
For what are you talking about now? I mean, you're trying to say that sea level isn't sea level now?
No, you can have sea level in reference to what sea you're talking about. I have no problem with that. What I'm saying is the deviation of these sea levels are measurable across the Panama Canal.
Check the Suez. That'd be easier one to check, wouldn't it?
No, what my claim was Panama Canal.
Rather
If you
than
wanted
the
to claim
locks.
for the Suez, I would ask for your measurements.
You
please.
struggle, don't you? Because you don't know how elevation's measured.
No,
No,
again,
you're struggling
whatever
to
your
answer a
claim.
question.
Whatever
how
claim
would
is-
you
chemo?
How would you start off with a
Whatever
sea level
your-
and you work
whatever
to the
your
centre,
claim
don't
is,
you? You don't
whatever
work
your
from
claim-
one end to the other and go, oh,
Whatever
look, the
your
sea
claim
level's
is,
wrong.
Whatever your claim is, I'm going to ask for measurements of that claim, as I have made a claim and I have provided measurements myself.
Measurements for all the elevation levels.
Sorry,
Is
Ben,
that-
hold on. Bio, I know you like to just do your little monologues, but can you try and be a bit more friendly?
No, thank you, Chemo. No, thank you.
Okay. Just try not to do your thing.
No, thank you, Chemo. I don't monologue. I make a claim and I provide evidence and I ask for your evidence for your claim. That's what I do.
Yeah, there's another one for St.
Like
Louis.
that. How you just made it short like that.
So again, Crit, I speak in memes and pictures. I would like measurements, please, because I can make pictures too, but it means nothing.
Oh, are you ready to get a comprehension test of this link you sent?
There's measurements there. Elevation, 600 feet. Elevation, 577 feet. Elevation, the numbers are there. What do you want?
I would like measurements that were done.
They're the numbers. They're there. They've been done.
Please.
What's up with you?
Again,
it's even depth.
I can take
measurements.
that picture right now and put it into Microsoft Paint and just change the numbers, and then I can provide it to you and expect for you to take it as fact. That's not what we do.
No, that'd be dishonest shit of you, wouldn't it?
Right, which is why I don't speak in memes. I speak in science.
Okay, you haven't given me what evidence do you require then? Go on.
What's the data here?
Of the claim. If you're going to
give us the standard of your what is it that you're after that you would require us to provide right now? There's numbers there. What do you want?
Of equal quality of what I've provided to you.
What have you provided?
Not pictures, and it's not memes.
What have you provided?
He's a publisher summary where it just says that there is a deviation between sea levels, but it doesn't give me what this measurement is. How many is it? Is it five?
Provided.
Is it 5 biodual arms?
Which is what I provided in my source, and I would appreciate.
Yeah, show me in the source. I clicked your source. It doesn't say anything about that.
I would also open yours when you provide it.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything here. All it says here is like I can read it word for word. It's only one paragraph long.
Can we just get
an
establishment of how this works, right? A measurement of elevation.
What you did is read the abstract, and you didn't go any further than
No, I read the summary right there. That's all I needed to know. That's what you linked. You linked the summary
Right.
here.
So you only
do you
read
have
the
a
abstract.
do you have a
appreciate
page
your
number?
honesty. Thank you.
Do you have a citation, a page number? What exactly are you pulling out of this that you think is a slam dunk here? That
No,
there
that's fine.
isn't
That's a good
the
point
sea
to make.
level doesn't
I
mean
got
sea
you.
level.
That is a legitimate point to make, and I won't obfuscate from that. I will find the information and pinpoint it exactly for you. That's fine.
Okay, right. Well, I can only
That's
talk for
good,
what
mate.
I know. So can I let you know what I know, how this actually works?
Yeah.
Live in the UK. The UK has a call it a vertical datum. They're all vertical datums because they're measured vertical. It's a vertical change in elevation. Vertical change in height is a change in elevation. You would agree with
Is
that?
that measured?
Would you agree that elevation is a vertical change in height? So as in
yes.
1 foot above
I
sea
would agree.
level
That's
is
fine.
actual a vertical height.
I think we want to say from what? What's your baseline?
The
No, that's perfectly
datum.
fine. Yeah, it's perfectly
Right.
fine because
Okay.
you can deviate in the negative, but then when you talk about negative and positive deviations, then you have to have a reference. But if it's just elevation, then
Who's
you can talk
this?
about a vertical
Okay, we get it.
Who
And
is that
how's
that we're
it
talking
measured,
to
Bev?
there?
Don't worry about it. But how's it
You-
measured?
You
Once
find
you
a
have your
tool.
baseline.
You find a tool called a level. Then that
That's
establishes a
man-made, yeah.
horizontal plane of reference. You then measure the difference vertically from that. And you mark that as a change in elevation.
Would you involve trigonometry when you do this, like a calculation?
No, you would just put a measuring rod there and look through the device and read the number. Like you do when you're measuring. You know, when you've got a ruler and you put it on a piece of paper, you just read the numbers off it. That's a measurement, right? Now, you start at one point. I mean, it used to be the benchmark in the UK, used to be in Liverpool at the docks, strangely enough. Maybe because of a canal system that they had there. But then they moved it down to I always get that wrong. Way down south. So that's the point, the elevation point for the entire UK.
Well,
everything is measured
confused.
from that point. So if you
I'm a bit
400 feet above
Sorry, this is a bit monologue-y. Can I just
the
get a point?
datum. Well, I found that thing for you as well, Foolish. All right.
So I've just basically looked at what you were talking about there. I only know 3 different types of leveling that's generally done.
You've
in
never
surveying.
done any, have you?
I'm just basically doesn't matter.
Okay.
This is the research side of it.
Okay.
I don't think you've done any.
Just
I don't
researched
see
it, have
you
you?
doing much of it, but that's fine.
Dude,
so the 3
I've
types
got
of leveling that
qualifications in it.
Again, can you please let me finish my point and stop interrupting? So barometric leveling is one method. Trigonometric leveling is another method, and spirit leveling is the third method. What other methods of leveling do you know of?
Differential leveling. Have you never heard of that? Have you never
No, I
heard of
haven't. That's why
reciprocal
I'm asking the
leveling?
question.
Brilliant.
But
You seem to have only just
in-
read a really basic book there, Foolish.
No, I'm asking a question. Why are you trying to make this silly? I didn't claim to be an expert in surveying.
No, you
I'm
claimed
not
that
saying, I asked a
Blue
very simple
was an
question.
expert, didn't you?
No, I basically said that Blue knew about leveling, knew about surveying.
You said Blue was
I
a
never said that he
qualified
was a
surveyor.
professional. No, I did not.
Yes, you
and
did.
You've yet to provide.
Yes, you did.
You've yet
Okay,
to provide.
all right, I will.
You have yet
I will
to
go and
provide
get
the
it for you
timestamp
right
from
now.
it,
All right.
And you keep saying that you're going to go and get it, and you never do.
Okay.
So you're going to go and get it now.
Absolutely. What are you doing?
I'm waiting.
Okay. You want to carry on talking about elevation or?
No, I want you to go and get that.
Okay. Now the UK only has one.
No, I want you to go and get that timestamp because you said you were going to do it like 5 days ago and you didn't.
No, dude,
then
I asked
repeated the
you to
claim.
go
I've
and get
listened
it,
to that.
didn't
I've
I?
listened to that. No, because it's not my claim. It's the claim you're making. I listened to that video and I didn't hear myself saying that. I gave you a timestamp of when I was speaking and I didn't say anything about Blue being a professional. So I'm interested in the timestamp you have in that video that is saying what you claim I am saying because I think you are wrong. I'm not going to say you're lying. I'm going to be generous and say you're mistaken.
There you go. Everybody in the chat there, it should go to a timestamp. And you should hear something about
Yeah, it goes to a
Blue Marble
timestamp
Science
1 hour and
is
11:50.
Is a structural engineer and
they
qualified
measure
surveyor,
triangles.
and he disagrees with you.
There you go. Blue Marble Science is something. I mean, you judge for yourself. I'm not going to say anything.
Gee, I didn't realise there were that many different kinds of leveling. That's interesting.
All using a
Simple-
horizontal, right?
Yeah.
Even trigonometric uses a right angle triangle, right, with the horizontal and the vertical.
I mean, simple leveling, differential leveling, fly leveling, profile leveling,
Blue
precise
Marble
leveling.
Science leveling, right?
So when we
Foolish.
make these measurements,
Did everybody hear the thing that Foolish asked for?
I didn't mean to talk
So
to you.
when we-
Yeah, he
That's my
said he was
fault. I
a
apologize.
structural engineer or something.
And a qualified surveyor.
By the
So, yeah,
way, Merrill, it
So what
Yeah,
you're
go
saying
ahead.
is when we're doing these measurements, we can make calculations.
What we're saying
when it
is
comes to measurement?
we're just waiting for the apology off Foolish for when he
Oh,
did
I'm
actually
sorry.
say that.
I thought I was bringing up a really good point
Yeah.
about something that you claimed earlier.
Yeah,
that
Foolish wanted
you
us to
just now
stop
said.
all of that conversation for me
Okay.
to get
No,
that
you
though, didn't he?
interrupted.
Made
That's fine. I
a point of it.
That's my fault. I apologize.
You know one thing I noticed, Bev, about these leveling devices? They're not curving.
Mm. No, they're all like straight right lines and a horizontal plane as well.
Very unusual.
Mm. Yeah, it's almost as though some curvature might be calculated, right? It's definitely not measured. We know that. You can only measure from point to
we
point,
know
which
it's
is
been observed,
a
though.
straight line
We know
measurement.
that we've observed
Tilt.
it for over fucking, 70 years now.
It's Foolish gone. Surely you've heard that. You mean you heard yourself say it? Oh, he's gone and he's gone.
Surely
definitely.
you heard me say that we've observed the curve now from outer space.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
I've heard
fair,
loads of
Isla.
people say that. Yeah.
And that's the only rebuttal, little giggles.
So can I ask Bev something without
the other
being
space
interrupted
thing's
again?
ridiculous.
Can I do
Yeah,
that?
you take over, Bio.
Yeah. Can we
most
get back
likely
to
not
the
Biodual.
Where's Foolish?
I just don't want to be interrupted again because I've tried to ask 3 times now, and I don't mean to be interrupted. That's my fault.
Yeah, but Foolish said that Blue said something he didn't, and he made Bev get the video, right?
Yeah,
Right, just like when you wanted measurements and I provided measurements.
Called
and
me
you
a
wouldn't
liar
provide
the other
measurements,
day,
remember
like
that?
loads. He
You are a
definitely
liar.
didn't say that.
You are a
Turns
liar.
out he did say it.
Like, because you were lying about not knowing Soundly's fucking company, and yet there were tweets made
Soundly's
by you.
company. What the fuck are you
Wow.
talking
Wow.
about?
Your name on it.
Just make some shit up. Go on.
Was it not Soundly? Have I got the wrong
No,
person?
it's Sly.
Sorry, there you go. It's Sly, not Soundly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were making up some shit about his company.
Yes,
You were saying what
somebody
you
made
wanted
up some
with
shit that
name
he had a
was.
phone call, didn't he?
No, listen.
Yeah, they did.
Stop interrupting. You
We've
fucking
got it.
cunt.
We've got it.
You said in here
Recorded.
on voice the other day when you were being confronted that you didn't even know the name of Sly's company.
I don't.
Yet we have tweets. You don't, do you not?
No.
You don't. Oh, so who tweeted the fucking company name?
What?
Was that not you?
He had ITT on his T-shirt. Is that?
Yeah.
Are you
But
saying
you-
that's his
you said the
company?
other day you didn't even know that
Are
was
you
his company
saying
name.
that is his company?
Don't fucking ask me questions when I'm asking you questions, liar. You were the one in here the other day saying you didn't even know the company name, yet we've got tweets of you with the name on it.
Yeah, I say he's got an
fuck
ITT
off,
jumper
yeah.
on. I said that would look really bad if that was a company jumper.
And you were in here 2 days ago saying that you don't even know what the name was.
I did it at ITT,
That's the
who was a
lie.
Japanese guy,
Liar.
and I knew that couldn't be his company.
You
it's
lying
not- has-
pieces.
does-
yeah.
Does Slice Barcade have a company? I mean, I don't
Knew
know.
it couldn't have been the company.
Are you affirming
You're lying,
that is
You
his
got
company?
busted.
I
No,
don't know.
you got busted. Just man up and admit it, and everyone will move on. How about that?
I
No,
think
let's
he's
move
playing
on.
a little word game here
Oh,
when
here
you
we go
say
again. Was
his
Foolish.
company. When you say his company,
I think Rizzler is talking about the company that he works for.
Well, let's say I don't know. I don't give a shit.
And Bev is trying to make it mean the company that Slice Barcane owns.
He owns a company now, does he?
Game that he's playing.
What a
I haven't got a clue. What are you talking about, guys? Anyway, back to Foolish. Foolish. You did say that, didn't you?
I'm happy to admit that I was wrong. That was an error.
Yeah, you see, we all heard
Thank
it.
you.
Foolish. We all it.
No, that's all right. If I'm wrong, I own it, Bev. I don't try and equivocate and run away from it.
Can you apologise for calling me a liar the other day?
I face it directly and I say I'm wrong. In the same way as you should do about
right.
ITT.
So now he's an expert. Blue's an expert. What was the point?
So the point is the points that I've been posting in the chat, which is Bev's definition of level and horizontal being synonymous is not true. That's not taught in surveying. It's not something that they teach. The fact that when we're looking at leveling, there are three main types. I don't believe that you do differential elevation without some form of mathematics involved. Because normally it's the angles that we're concentrating on from what I've read on surveying.
Not differential leveling. Please don't do that. There's no angles in differential leveling. Not unless you're talking about the right angle, the relationship between horizontal and vertical.
What is the main method to establish elevation differences in surveying?
Differential leveling.
So differential leveling is the way that they would that is not to say always, because that's an unfair statement and I don't do that. But that is differential leveling is the main way that they track differences in elevation.
Absolutely, yeah. Differences.
Cool. No, I'm fine with that. I'm now going to go and look it up, so at least I can have an idea of what you're talking about.
Okay.
Before I speak.
Yeah.
All right then, Bio. What did you say?
Do you want me to get a couple of... yeah, there you go. Mel's got one. I've got a couple I'll put in there as well to show you. It's good that you guys are looking into this. It's weird it's took you so long.
Yeah.
It was just they were looking for numbers.
Yeah, but
they were looking for numbers.
But have a look at that there. See that? That's a profile view for elevation. See it? It says known elevation, BM, at the bottom left-hand side.
Yeah.
And see what's that line at the bottom?
So you're happy to use
sea level?
It's a datum, isn't it? It's a straight line.
Sorry, I've just got
and then all the other known elevations are measured from
I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
In differential leveling, what's the sort of maximum distance you'd be taking that observation from?
Sorry?
In differential leveling,
yeah.
How far away are you making these differential observations? Because I'm seeing.
You mean there, like where that?
Yeah, I'm seeing thousands of feet.
Thousands.
Yeah, I'm seeing an example here with 3,200 feet.
Yeah, well, that distance there. If you look at that picture that I've just put in there, right? The line of sight, you can see he moves. He has to keep moving because of the differential. You can't see the levels at that higher level, so you can only go so far with your rod, and also with the limit of the optics of the tool you're using.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the tools are only 32 times scopes. So you want a maximum of about 50 meters either side. So that makes about 100 between. But I mean, some people come down less, some people do less. I mean, you can do way less if you want. You can't do much more though. About 50 meters is about the limit. If you're willing to be millimeter accurate, which you want to be, you want to be as accurate as possible.
When you're becoming a surveyor, are you taught about things like earth curve?
No, they're all surveying's done on a plane surveyor. I mean, all of these tools are plane surveying tools.
But they teach you about surface level, don't they, in surveying?
Yeah, horizontal.
No, surface level.
No.
Surface level in surveying it comports to the curvature of the earth.
No, it doesn't. It's just horizontal.
And that's exactly what it says in the fucking book. When you look at it,
it may say that in the book, but surveying is highly practical.
Out of a text course book.
Yeah.
There you go. Level, surface. A level surface is defined as a curved surface which at each point is perpendicular to the direction of gravity at that point.
Yeah.
That is what they teach in
Do you
surveying.
read
Bev.
books
Please
about
don't
going
lie.
walking?
Convenient, isn't it?
That's directly from a surveying
It's a
textbook.
very
Because I'm
practical
trying
thing,
to learn
surveying.
this. I'm trying to understand it, Bev.
Yeah, well, go and get a level. It's the best way to learn it. It's
I'm
practically.
starting off by reading the method that you guys use, which is what you were taught. It's how you started, and you said this was not taught, and I do not believe that is
very
true.
practical, right? You can't really. It's one of those things you can't really read.
No, it's okay because now he's trying to invoke gravity when doing survey.
I'm just quoting.
Yeah, I'm just doing reality
from
stuff.
a surveying textbook, which is what is used to teach surveyors.
Yeah, I'm just.
You're invoking G-gravity.
I'm invoking.
Can I just a minute? Can I just say, I'd choose if I was to teach anybody about surveying or anything like that, I would definitely choose the practical. Like when you get taught surveying, if you ever choose to do that, the book work will be about 5 or 10% of it. The rest of it is practical. Out in the field,
but it's in that coursework because you said they don't teach you about this, and I'm bringing up a citation where it's actually in the material.
I'd say I never got taught about anything like that.
Would that be fair to say then that there's a theoretical aspect to
this
surveying?
might explain why there's a problem.
There's a methodology.
When I was doing it, there was no such thing as GPS. It was a fair few years ago. So I mean, you may be using one of the newer textbooks, but like they didn't say anything about curvature at all. Just horizontal.
Well, there's one from 2018, Bev, that actually says the same thing that Druss has just pointed out: civil engineering, surveying, and estimating and costing.
Brilliant.
And guess what? Says it's curved surface.
Brilliant.
What is actually
inconvenient? That isn't it?
Could we just get some clarity on what actually is being said?
You can go back to textbooks from the 1950s, the 1960s,
Here we go.
and they say the same thing.
I'll read from the definitions. Level surface. A level surface is the equipotential surface of the Earth's gravity field. It is a curved surface and dendary element of which is normal to the plumb line. Level line. Any line laying on a level surface is called a level line. This line is level to the plumb line, direction of gravity at all points. Horizontal plane. Any plane tangential to the level surface at any point is known as the horizontal plane. Yeah. It is perpendicular to the plumb line, which indicates the direction of gravity. This is what they teach, Bev.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what they teach.
This is probably why
gravity.
What you've just said.
Flat Earth.
What you've just said.
It's taught.
What you've just said is one of them is normal to the plumb line, and the other one is perpendicular to the plumb line. Well, guess what?
Gravity.
Guess what? Normal and plumb are the same fucking thing.
No, it's a single plumb point. So the difference is there, Bev, and this is where
normal
you're not
means orthogonal, means perpendicular, means
Bev,
right angles, means
Bev,
straight
I would like
lines.
to finish my point. Bev, thank you. So what I was trying to say there is that's to a single plumb line. When you're looking at the curved surface of the Earth, we're talking about multiple plumb lines. So when I'm taking a horizontal, it's it's perpendicular to a single plumb, is it not?
When you're taking a horizontal, you said,
is it not?
How often do you take horizontals?
Is it not?
Or do you just do that through a book?
What? Is it not
taken from a single plumb line? A horizontal is established from a single plumb, not multiple.
No, a horizontal is established with a tool called a level. It doesn't.
Yeah,
a plumb line doesn't get involved in it. No.
Oh, so you're saying that your level is not plumb?
I'm saying a water level has got fuck all to do with a plumb line.
Are you saying that your level is not plumb?
Yes, definitely. The water level doesn't need to be plumb at all.
I'm talking about an auto level or a theodolite.
I was talking about a water level. I was talking about water level because that's the most physical we can get. You're on the closest in touch with reality, right? Nobody can mess about with that, press buttons and switch curvature on and off. You can't do that with a water level. It doesn't ever need calibrating. It calibrates itself.
Cool. So you reject surveying equipment. I agree. Okay, that's cool. You
I
want to do that.
think
That's
you've
fine.
just got that wrong there, haven't you? Like, can we not?
Well,
surely everybody understands what a water level is, rather
how
than.
would you do a differential elevation using a water level?
You just mark the levels, right? It'd be easier with a water level. I think, anyway. I think a water level would be more accurate
You think
over
it would
larger
be easier,
distances.
cheaper, and quicker? No, I'm just talking about your standard 50 meters.
Oh, well, yeah. In that case, then a 100-meter water level would be better because you get 100
And you
meters
think
with
that
a
would be
water
cheaper
level.
and easier?
In fact,
than
you could
using
check one with the other, couldn't you? You could almost calibrate. You could almost calibrate an auto level with a water level.
Crit, you're avoiding every single question. Do you think it would be cheaper and easier to do that than to do that over 50 meters than to use a theodolite? If I've got to do, say, 50 or 60 readings in a day.
Yeah. It'd be cheaper to a water level. It'd be cheaper. About 18 quid. Cheaper what?
I'm talking about man time.
Oh. But I'm saying it's just...
You don't really understand the cost of an operation, do you? I think this is probably an area you're not very good at by the sound of it.
If you would come to do you watch the proof,
planning and project
you'd
management?
See this whole conversation
I'm just asking a question. Do you do cost planning and project management?
For what?
For anything.
But why is that relevant?
Because I'm talking about the operational efficiency, and you don't understand.
Operational efficiency of what?
I'm now trying to establish what your knowledge of this area
or some sort of test, or you're reading books.
No,
have you read a book about cost-effective analysis of
Bev, and I'm feeling that you're not expressing your understanding.
Buying water pipes and filling them up with water?
The Earth is very flat.
Foolish. I know you're flapping.
I wouldn't hire Bev to do any surveying if I needed a job done, honestly.
I wouldn't either. I'm a carer. So, I mean, I'd be absolutely rubbish. I wouldn't be able to do it.
No. The reason I'm asking this question is for a very good reason. And that's that, to move something that is a physical thing that is over 50 meters long requires lots of people to do that. It's not easy. It's not going to be cheap, and it's not going to be very efficient.
A water level.
This is why.
I can get 400 meters on a little hose pipe reel.
This is why
50 meters is nothing.
Because I haven't finished my point, but thanks for over talking me, Bev. Are you going to continue to do this?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Why do you keep over talking me? I'm
sure we started off about elevation and how we measured elevation. Now we've ended up cost analysis of you buying pipe to do nothing.
I think the best thing to do, Bev, would just be to let Dross get his points out, and let's be hospitable and
I really
generous.
appreciate that. I'm trying to be nice. I really am trying to be nice with you, Bev. I really am. So, Merle, the reason I'm making this point is when you look at doing a repetitive activity, you look at the efficiency of it. This is something I do on a fucking day-to-day basis. And one of the problems you have, and the reason, I can see why I'd use a theodolite over a tool like a water level. And the reason that I would use that is I can move a theodolite quickly, I can have my sight sticks move quickly, I can take many more measurements in a day using a theodolite than I can using a water level, because I physically have to move that water level, then recalibrate it every fucking time I move it, and that would take more time. So therefore, it is less efficient. Therefore, this is why we use the instruments we do.
Did you say recalibrate a water level?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to make sure it's back on level, aren't you?
Recalibrate? How would you... I'm filling the water distiller up. How would you recalibrate a water level?
How would you recalibrate? Well, I'm assuming... Yeah, I'm assuming that if I've got something like a chorobat, which is something I do know about, it's the only water level that I'm familiar with. It's the only water level I've ever touched. With chorobat, I need to establish what my plumb is, so I can then establish what gradient I want to employ using that chorobat. So I need to calibrate it to level before I then set my increase in the angular elevation of the slope that I'm determining for an aqueduct. That's something I know about because I've studied that.
what about
Ricket.
the calibration? What was that?
When you talk about leveling a water level, that's pretty breathtaking.
Yeah, but the reason is, do you know what a chorobat is, Crit?
Yeah, well, that's a position in surveying.
Dude, let's talk about the calibration.
A chorobat was a water level used by the Romans, and it was their main instrument that they used to build aqueducts. When you build an aqueduct, you want to make sure you've got a slope that's not too steep because it causes lots of wear and tear, and not too shallow because then the water won't flow and it will stagnate.
Yeah,
so
inch
they
to a mile or
something called
something
a
like that.
chorobat.
I think they did. Didn't
And what they used the chorobat for was to determine the angle of slope.
Wow. What, of a 1 inch in a mile?
Really, really accurate. I'll go and look it up. It's a really.
You think that was done by an angle measurement? How do they calibrate it?
You can go and look it up, Bev. I can send you a link.
No, that's what
like.
you were meant to be explaining. How you calibrate a water level.
I just told you. You need to establish your plumb for the chorobat. Yeah. Once you've done that, you can then set your angle of slope.
Do you not know what a water level is?
Do you not know what a chorobat is?
Please tell me you know what a water level is.
Please tell me you know what a chorobat is, because that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I'll have a look that up.
I think he does, Foolish, because one of his mates used to have that as his username. So before you go too far down that road, I think he knows exactly what.
Foolish, you tell us you know what a water level is.
There you go.
I never heard that
I'll put you a
word
link
before.
for a chorobat. And look at that. It's got the nice little plummy bits on, and that's what you establish your angle for your slope. Isn't that cool?
Do you know what a water level is?
See that chorobat there? Which is a type
brilliant.
Of water level,
yeah, that's fantastic.
Which is showing the angle of the slope using those plumb lines. Yeah, isn't that now an interesting thing that disagrees with what you were saying earlier?
It's not really. Where's the water?
The water's in the table-y bit.
Okay. Not spilling out.
Nope. That's obviously just an artist's impression. Don't take that as too much reality.
Is that water
really,
on a
really
slope?
Drawing.
Is that water on a slope? I'm just there's a water level device, and do you want to actually see one? They're fantastic. I bet you'll love it. There you go. Just a fucking tube. Foolish.
And the chorobat itself is basically 2 vertical lines at one end and a horizontal line in the middle, connected, like a handle on a suitcase.
So Foolish. When I was talking about a water level, what you do is you put some water in a tube, and the water equalizes out. Equipotential, yeah? Even altitude. It's 2 points, one at each end. They're both neither higher nor lower than the other. Just 2 points. Sounds a bit like geometry. What was it? Like a straight line.
Why don't they use water levels in professional surveying?
What do you mean professional surveying?
When you're doing professional surveying to establish elevation, I've never seen someone use a water level to do that. Most of the time when I've seen someone like, some of the big construction firms.
Yeah.
WSP,
it's not really that practical,
Parsons,
is it?
Brinkerhoff, Amy, those kind of guys, they all seem to be using theodolites for that.
Yeah, although it's lower tech, than the laser level and all of that.
So why do they use theodolites and not water levels?
Because they're a replacement, aren't they? So you don't need to carry 100 meters of water around with you in the tube.
Because it's easier, isn't it? More efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the point that I was making 15 minutes ago, which you tried to deny.
Fantastic, but how do you calibrate a water level?
Sense.
Foolish. You were on about calibrating them. How do you do that?
You've got to verify that you've got the right amount of liquid back in your water level. You've got to make sure that it's now working correctly before you utilize it. Surely you do that check. Make sure there are no air bubbles in it. I don't know. I'm going to say that there are things that probably can do that.
It's not a calibration, though, is it?
Well, it's still a calibration. It's making sure the tool's working correctly.
That's
part
calibrates
of it.
itself. It's like
yeah.
No. But let him answer. Let him answer how he would calibrate the water level.
I've just said you make sure it's working correctly. You make sure you got the right amount of liquid in. You make sure you got no air bubbles in the pipe. That's calibration. That's making sure your instrument is accurate before usage.
Accurate. That's the calibrations after the accuracy, isn't it? How do you make sure that your water level is what do you call it? Level.
By making sure there are no air bubbles in the pipe for starters.
Oh, so you just let the water do what it does naturally.
No, so calibration just is when you have like a 0 or a marker, and you're setting the measurements in gradient in a grade. So how are you doing that setting so it goes back to 0?
I would start off with a position where I've got the 2 points next to each other. I'll make sure that the liquid is equal on both sides when they're right next to each other. That's a form of calibration. That takes me to my 0 point. Now I'm going to start to take those pipes away from each other to the points of observation, and now I can take my measurement. So that's a form of calibration.
Okay.
So you're saying, hold on.
So I'm establishing my 0 base to 2 objects next to each other, and then I'm showing the fact that that is then 0.
So you're saying level is 0?
No, I'm saying that's how I would make sure that I've got a 0 on my water level.
But that would be your measurement.
I've never used the water level in my life, but that seems like a reasonable level, a reasonable method to me. Would you disagree with that?
Hold on. So Sci-Fi, you hear what he's just said? That he's going to calibrate it to make sure it's 0. That's the measurement.
Yeah, that's specifically what the measurement of level, right, Druss?
Yeah. That's how when Druss knows it's level, it's 0, Sci-Fi, when he's calibrated it.
Yeah, and when it's there, right, that water surface would be horizontal, right? Perpendicular to the plumb.
I'd like to ask Bev a question, because that was my guess at how I'd probably do it. Bev, what do you think of that guess?
What, with
as a method?
Water in a tube? I just wait until it evens out. Yeah,
there's 2 measurement points I bring right next to each other so I can compare them next to each other.
I wouldn't need to do that. I'd be absolutely certain that the water would do that no matter what. No matter how far away one end of the tube was than the other.
But as someone that doesn't use water levels, is that not a good method?
So we would call that, we call that an even elevation? An even altitude, even.
Yep, so I'd expect on an even elevation, my two measuring points on my water level are going to read exactly the same when I've got them next to each other.
Okay. Now, would you, because you've got 2 points there, that's very Euclidean geometry like, would you say it's the shortest distance between those 2 points?
No, because it's going through the tube. The tube doesn't have to be dead.
No, I mean the actual level surface would be the shortest distance. Like a hydrostatic equilibrium surface.
I take that at a slight angle, and it would make any difference to the length if I'm at
an angle. No, because they'd have to be at an even altitude, right? You can't have one higher or lower than the other, because the water would, it'd even itself out again, wouldn't it? The water
would show the difference in the elevation.
Level. Yeah. No, if you moved one end up or down, the water would find its own equilibrium again. There would never be a difference. But that would show the difference
in the level between point A and point B, wouldn't it?
If you measured from that point to the ground, to the surface, yeah. Because that level
point A is my reference point, point B is my differential, and I'm going to show whether that's at the same elevation point or a higher elevation point or a lower elevation point.
The water would give you something to measure from. Right.
Yeah. So I can say if I've got my point A of my water level at position 1, and I've got my point B at position 2, so I can then say whether point B is higher or lower or level to point A.
Not of the water level. Like, because you're just referencing the level there, aren't you? Point A and point B.
No, I'm working out whether my point B is at a lower elevation,
okay, so what
an
you
equal
do is
elevation,
you
or a
set up
higher elevation to point A.
But you set up the level then, and then
Can I
you
do that?
measure from
Can I do
A
that?
to the surface,
Can I
and
do
you
that?
measure from point B to the surface.
Can I do that?
Can you
just by reading the
measure?
water level? But just by reading the water level, can I not determine whether point A is higher or lower than point B, or equal?
No, the water level will give you something you can measure from. Right, that is your becomes your datum, doesn't it?
Can I not make the deduction if the data point that if my water level is higher, equal to, or lower than where that water level starts, regardless of whether I'm measuring to the earth or not, I can just tell whether the top of that tube is higher, equal to, or lower than the tube.
No, the water in the level will equalize itself.
Yes.
So when you look at it, you will be absolutely certain that they are both at the same level, at an even altitude. One is neither higher nor lower than the other.
Okay, so if one side is higher, then
one side won't be higher.
Point B
they will
is
both be
higher.
level.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yes, but in the tube, I can get a reading because of where it is in the tube.
I'm not so sure you understand this, foolish.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Maybe if I could finish the point.
You've got trapped air, or you've got a pressure on there, haven't you? That's why. That would be the cause for why one is higher. That means
no. What I'm saying is that if you've got like a scale on the side of the tube, Chemo, yeah, and you've got that level. So when I'm bringing them together, I'm making sure that they're, the tops of the tube are dead level, everything, and then I'll get the same water reading across both tubes. Now, if I raise it up a little bit, yeah, that water is going to be at the same level as the other bit of water, but the scale in my tube, it's going to read at a different level. It's going to have a different reading on that tube. Yeah, because of where that water is in the physical tube itself.
Like, imagine this, right? Imagine you've got 100 foot of, or 100 meters, anything, of tube, but like, you only put 50 meters of water in it. Well, you can move the tube around as much as you want. The water's going to move and do what the water does. The water will always establish its own level.
Yeah, which means I can create a differential from that level, showing a difference in elevation based on where the water is in the actual tube itself. I don't know why this is so difficult. This seems to be really commonsensical, and I'm really concerned that I'm wrong. But you don't seem to be addressing the point. So if I've got water in this tube, and I'm looking at the water where it reaches the height in the tube itself, how many centimeters from the end of the tube it is at either end. Yeah. If it's at 5 centimeters for my first tube.
The tube's just a container for the water. The water is the measure.
But I can use that tube then as a way of measuring things, measuring the differential.
The difference from the water level, though, but the water level establishes the datum.
How much tube do I have to the other end before I hit the actual water itself?
The water is what does the work.
Can you address
within
that
a
specific
water
point?
Level.
Where would the water be in the tube?
Do you want me to put my camera on?
If I've got something, if
I can show you what a water level is.
If I've got a water level,
I can show you how you can move the ends of the water.
Oh, Christ's sake, Bev. Bev, if I've got a water level, it's 10 feet long. Yeah, I take one. Now I notice on my point A that the water is 2 centimeters below the top of the tube. Now, and then I put them, and both of them are 2 centimeters from the top of the tube for both of them. Now, if I raise one up a bit, it's going to change how much tube there is on one side.
If you move it up above 2 centimeters, it'll piss out the other side. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point. But up until that 2 centimeters, I can say that, if there's 1.5 centimeters at one end and 2.5 at the other, they're not at the same level. One is of a higher elevation than the other is of a lower elevation than the other. I'm talking about the top of the tube itself from the point of view of elevation.
We're just talking about the water level. That's why it's called a water level, not the top of the tube above the water level.
Past the point. I'm going to stop there because I'm now getting frustrated that you're not addressing the actual fucking question, and you seem to be going to be out of your way to be pedantic when I'm trying to make a very simple point.
No,
You're not prepared to listen, Bev. I'll go away. You can go and talk to someone else.
I think
Because you've been shown the definition of level and level surface from the actual textbook.
I think you've been a good help.
Shown information on geodetic surveying and triangular and spherical excess. You've been shown all of this information repetitively, and you still deny that it exists. So I'm going to stop there because I'm now very frustrated at your pedantry.
Okay, thank you very much. You've been a great help. I didn't realise people didn't understand what a water level was. So easily, right? Sorry. I'll obviously have to do a video making it even more understandable.
Bev, I've never watched one of your videos in my life, and I never will. So don't worry about that. If I want to go and actually learn about something, I'll go to an actual textbook.
Read something.
Well,
textbook about water level.
What I noticed here, the problem is if they think you're talking about flat Earth, they won't understand anything you say. You have to say, "I'm not talking about the Earth right now."
Did you understand my point? What I was did you understand it at all, Crit?
I understand.
I kind of vaguely listened. I didn't hear all the points made. I was actually.
So why are you commenting if you weren't actually paying attention? You don't know what's going on then.
Well,
I understand your point. I understood your point.
I thought it was a really simple point.
I just had like an epiphany in a way. Like a couple of years ago, I came into this room myself and was challenging the same sort of line that Bev is. And what my original argument was, there's a huge expanse in Australia called the Nullarbor Plain.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was saying was, how can the Earth be a sphere or an oblate spheroid if there's these large areas of land and water that, they're called plains? So it's like a circle with lots of flat
pretend
bits.
Curvature and elevation are the same thing, shall we? Shall we do that?
Oh.
No, it's like there's a perfect.
You've never been.
He's not doing that, Gem. He's just talking about something.
It's like
in reality,
really doing that. Yes,
there's a sphere with lots of flat bits.
He's saying because there's some flat land without any mountains or valleys, and people refer to it as flat, that means the Earth is flat.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are extensive areas.
Exactly right.
And this is what happened last time. That there's extensive areas of the Earth that are not displaying curvature. So it's like a sphere with lots of flat bits. I also showed cities like the city of Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Tokyo. All Cartesian grid lines.
I noticed you went from...
You know what they just to finish the point. You know what they did, Bev?
Go on.
In the end, they just called me a deluded retard who lives in his mum's basement.
Sounds about right.
That's what I was met with.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
Notice that you went from the terrain being flat to it doesn't display curvature. So in fact, that displays that you were doing exactly what Gem said you were doing, even though you denied it.
What did I deny?
Merle, let me ask you this. If you were wrong and we're right, imagine that situation. The globe is as described. There isn't a great big lie to take you away from God. And all this is just bollocks on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what I was going to say now.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, what was the point? What was the point that you made before that? Remind me what you just said.
Just that the Earth.
Oh, you got called got called a retard and delusional. Yeah. That was the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, if that's true, if we imagine a situation where that's true, would it be fair to call you delusional?
He's not. Is it?
Maybe incorrect. I think is fair. Wrong is also another way just dead wrong. Maybe even you could go so far as to say you're an idiot, but that's even a little bit too far as well.
But you've convinced yourself of something to be true that isn't true in our hypothetical.
Sounds like he was asking a question to me.
What?
He didn't sound like he was coming in here like telling you something. He was probably just coming in here asking a question, like I was.
Oh, he said
inquisitive.
He said he was called a retard.
Yeah, because he came in here talking about areas of land called plains.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got to put my hand up too, Gem. Like, I became frustrated and unreasonable, and I lashed out, didn't I?
Right. But however, that's not my point. My point is, I don't think it's unfair to call you delusional, or even, as you've said, your word, idiot, because I think you're making a lame argument, ridiculous argument.
Are you suggesting,
what was the argument?
Bev, are you suggesting, Bev, that because it's called a plane, that it's supposed to be flat?
No, that's Merle's stuff. That I'm just saying that I've got a proof that level is horizontal. I guess Merle's plane
level
thing was
is always going to be perpendicular to plumb, and plumb lines aren't parallel, so we can get rid of that straight away.
Well,
what you're talking about, foolish.
That's sort of why I've raised it, because Bev, this is very deja vu for me. And what the next thing beyond, some of the insults, which is fine, it's neither here nor there, but the next thing that was brought to me was scale. That I don't understand scale.
Yeah. We've been given numbers, though. Even your top boys have said, oh yeah, it's measurable. And we measure things with rulers, so...
We measure things with lots of different instruments. Doesn't have to be a ruler. And again, if you're going to establish level, I would agree. Level is perpendicular to the plumb lines. But plumb lines are not parallel, therefore it's not flat.
Yeah, you had a zero measurement, didn't you? Before, when you were measuring your level. It was a zero.
No, I'm not even addressing that. I'm now making a very specific point. If you want to address that very specific point, happy to engage. If you want to talk about something else, not happy to engage.
Okay, well, we're talking about level, aren't we? Isn't
that
perpendicular?
And multiple plumb lines are not parallel to each other, which conforms to the description of level that you've been given.
The perpendiculars.
And therefore,
perpendiculars not being perpendicular.
Not flat.
Seems a bit silly, that. So I've always wondered how you do that one. Who is the good geometry guy? Who's your top man?
Plumb line's not parallel.
Yeah.
Earth is not flat. Level conforms.
Because you do realise that plumb lines not being parallel
gravity
leaves you in a bit of a geometrical paradox.
So if you want to address the problem that plumb lines are not parallel,
then
I'm happy to engage on that specific point.
Okay.
Not anything else.
Let's go. Give us proof, please.
You've been given proof lots of different times. Not going to go there. There's lots of evidence.
That's what you want to address.
Are you denying? 1 second. Are you denying that plumb lines? Are you saying that plumb lines are all measured parallel to each other?
Of course they are. Absolutely.
Okay. Can you provide the measurements
perpendicular
for that,
to a
please?
Horizontal.
Can you please provide
datum.
your angular differentials to show that that is the case?
Sorry. The angular differentials for a perpendicular?
No, we're talking about multiple plumb lines, aren't we?
Well, that's
so
a vertical.
How would you judge whether one plumb line is parallel to another?
Vertical and horizontal.
How would you establish that one plumb line is parallel to another?
It's perpendicular, isn't it?
How would you establish that one plumb line is parallel to another?
It's perpendicular, isn't it? Foolish.
I'm asking you, how do you establish that one plumb line is parallel to another?
I'll run you through it, right? You could come over if you wanted to and go through this. But a straight line, a vertical...
That's another tactic Bev likes to use. It's like, come over and I'll show you how it works elsewhere.
Was has been round. Ask Was. Or Becky.
It's not Was or Becky.
Well, I say, well, they've been round
Sorry,
for
what
it,
was
but
that?
this straight lines and perpendiculars, right? You understand what they are, don't you?
We're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
thought it
how
was a great demonstration. Or
we're
what
talking
were
about
we
how do
calling
you
it?
establish that two plumb lines are parallel
Hey,
with
Okay.
each other?
Can I just interrupt to do a super chat
Do you not-
from
oh, wow,
Valentina
super chat.
Tereshkova, who says, Bev, can you explain why you call this server a cesspit and still come here?
It's
Thank you
fun,
very much for
isn't
the
it?
super chat, Valentina.
Yeah. It's fun. You're nice and quiet this morning. Different, isn't it?
It is
somehow?
fun. It's the Thunderdome.
Can I just make one last point? Just because I just want Bev to know this, because it is a deja vu thing. So I'll just drop it here. Like, see, I'm not a surveyor, Bev, but I'm one of the only people I know who actually has Euclid's 13 Elements as a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it gripped me, more than sort of a lot of things have.
Yeah.
And I've got an interest in it, and that's kind of why I enjoy your interaction here, because you're one of the only surveyors I know that's come in here and challenged it.
He's not a surveyor.
Yeah, I'm not a surveyor. I've just got a surveying
He's got an O
qualification.
level in surveying.
Well, isn't that a surveying qualification?
Yes, it's more than
Does it make him qualified to sort of talk?
It's a practical thing, like I said, and I do have a level, and I do have a love of Euclid. Yeah, geometry. It's beautiful. Which is where we're going to get to now. The mix between the two, reality, geometry. It's almost as though they were made to be together.
So again, Bev, how do you show that plumb lines are parallel?
Right, okay, now, a vertical, a plumb bob, right, is a tool. We call it a perpendicle.
I know what a plumb bob is. You don't need to describe what a plumb bob is.
Well, that's
I
a
just
straight...
I just need to know what the method is.
Straight.
I just need to know what the method is for determining that plumb lines in different locations are parallel.
It's a straight line. A vertical.
Again, I know that a vertical is a straight line.
Is perpendicular.
That doesn't address the method.
Perpendicular to a horizontal, right? Vertical, horizontal. They're two lines geometrically known, perpendicular to each other. The relationship of those two right lines is a right angle. Now, if you traverse along, along that horizontal and then drop another vertical perpendicular to that, it will be at right angles. Okay,
that's the theory. But, what it sounds like is that you're confusing how they come to. I'm going to use the word calibration, but it's not the best word. But they're not calibrated to each other. They're totally separate from everything besides their setup.
So
themselves.
if you prove
what's being asked is
that level is horizontal.
You go ahead. It's like the fifth time you've interrupted me, but you go ahead.
You interrupted me before I'd even finished. So all you have to do is establish that the horizontal, and then know for a fact that the verticals, plumb lines that are dropping to it, are perpendicular to it. So all you've got to do is establish that the horizontal is a straight line in the horizontal position. Pretty easy.
I have a...
Can I ask Beth a question?
Here we go. Yep.
I've got...
We don't want to be getting away from the plumb line things, do we?
No, it's to do with...
Because what you've done, Bev, you haven't addressed the question at all. All you've done...
I just told you what happens in reality.
Bev, I'm still speaking, rude prick, right? All you've done is establish a geometrical fact that that when you cross a horizontal line with two perpendicular lines, that those lines are parallel. That doesn't address my question in the slightest. What I want to know is, how do you determine that two real plumb lines at different locations on the Earth are in fact parallel? I don't want some geometrical theory that when you cross a horizontal with two lines, that those lines will be parallel to each other. I want a practical method for determining if two plumb lines are in fact horizontal.
It's just geometry,
parallel.
mate. Just geometry.
It's not, because
Yeah,
unless you've got some measurement in there, it is just geometry and it's not addressing the question.
That it's a horizontal.
Oh fuck.
Can I interrupt? To me, it sounds like, and I know nothing about the topic. It sounds to me like Bev is assuming that when we go to a different location and put a second plumb line, that we are actually using the same horizontal line, and he hasn't established that.
Yeah. Ask Becky. What do you reckon? Do you reckon I established that, Becky? Are you happy that level is horizontal? I mean, you were beforehand, but
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're even
yeah.
more
I find
so
it
now.
very practical.
Yeah.
And simple, and I know what's going on.
Another super chat from Valentina Tereshkova, who says, has Bev shown Emma his horizontal? Actually, 2 super chats because there was a typo in there. But thank you very much, Valentina, for both of those.
I don't know. Nice that you're thinking of us, but we just go to the same Discord server.
Here, Bev, I'm gonna try to use your same logic
both
because
got
you haven't
our own
provided really much of
families that
anything.
we,
Oh, I'm sorry.
care for.
You're interrupting me.
I
That's
was,
my fault.
just
I apologize.
replying to the
I apologize,
super
Bev.
chat.
No, I
Sorry.
apologize. That's my fault.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Just relax.
Yeah.
No, it's just a 6th time in the last 20 minutes. But no. You go ahead. My fault.
It's like cringy super chats or cringe.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Welcome to the world of cringe. Welcome to the internet. I'm sorry you got offended, but who
You've
cares?
got to read those super chats out, right? Haven't you? Can't be deleting super chats and not reading them out.
What would
Speaking of
happen if
which,
Bev wasn't
hang
here?
on.
What would you
hang
talk
on.
about?
I've got a question for Gem. Gem, you didn't happen to hear about 12 or so hours ago, I know it's a long time ago, I managed to get Kibo to read out a super chat about himself. Yeah. Well, I gave I gave the live stream a $2 super chat. I said, Kibo is an idiot. All he has is incredulity, and he read it out for me.
Nice.
But
Can
it was,
I
it was
ask
humble.
Sounds nice.
Can I ask Bev a question?
Right, are we getting away from the
No, it's about your water level, Bev, so you're going to like it.
Okay. It's just
So,
the water level, dude. I mean,
How... Yeah, hang on. Just calm down. I know it's a water level. Look, I'm going to show you a picture of my water level. I've just taken this picture inside my house because obviously it's night time here in Australia. So here's a
Get
picture
outside,
of my
mate.
water
Less
level,
time
Bev.
to do surveying some.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So there you go. Can you see that, Bev?
Yep.
Right. Can you see how it all lines up with the tape behind it? It might not be millimetre perfect, but it's fairly close.
So you're using the water level to establish the level, are you?
Yeah, but I left the tape on the wall to establish my level. Can you see that?
No, the water level establishes the level, right? You
Yeah,
use
but
that
then
water
I've
level to
marked
put
it.
that tape
I've
on the
marked
wall.
it with the tape.
Yeah.
Right? I've marked it with the tape. So then I opened my bathroom window, which is just to the right of that water level.
Yeah.
And this happened. Have a look at that one, mate. I haven't moved anything.
I don't know.
Oh, shit.
What's happened?
Can you have a look at that and tell me how a water level is accurate when even when I open my bathroom window, all of a sudden it's not accurate anymore?
Like,
Can you
saying
explain what's
it's
going on?
not
I know
level
what's happened. I know what's happened, but can you explain what's happened?
What the water level? I don't understand. Please explain.
Have a look at the second picture.
Yeah.
Bev.
Is one end lower than the other?
I haven't moved the level at all, Bev. I said all I did was open my bathroom
I'm asking
window.
you. Is one end lower than the other?
And I said, no, it's not. I haven't moved it. So if you look at the two
no
pictures,
problem, then.
one after the other.
Yeah.
Can you see that the water level's moved?
Is one end lower than the other? That's what I've asked
No,
you. You
it's
said
not,
there
Bev.
isn't. Well, then it's
and I said it hasn't
is.
moved, Bev. Can you have a look at the two pictures, one after the other?
Yeah, I'm looking at.
Is there a temperature difference there, right?
And I'm asking
you
you.
Open the window.
I'm asking you. Is one end lower than the other?
Answered that
you said there
three
isn't.
times. The answer was no. Every time.
No.
Okay, then. Well, your water level's still working. It's still establishing a horizontal.
I told you the only thing I changed. The only thing I changed was I opened my bathroom window.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right, but all of a sudden, there's a difference in the water level.
Where one end is lower than the other. But you said there isn't one end lower than the other.
The water level hasn't moved, and I leveled it first, then put the tape on there to indicate where the water showed level was, and then I opened my bathroom window, and then the water level moved. Can you explain that? Should I help you out a bit and tell you that I've got an evaporative air conditioner in my house?
Yeah, fantastic. If you're saying that the water level hasn't moved, you are talking about the level of the water, aren't you?
The level of the water has moved.
That's it has moved now. When you've just said about 8 times that it hasn't moved. Now you're saying it has moved.
The level itself, the machine has not moved. However, the water inside of the machine has moved.
No, the thing about a water level is it is the water, not the tube. The tube's just a container, right? You don't call that a water level. You use the water within the tube as a water level.
Bev, I'm going to explain this one more time. Please try not to interrupt me. What I did, I taped the water level to the wall. I then put the piece of tape that's underneath it to show where the water was indicating where level was. I then opened my bathroom window. Now,
I think you posted the wrong images. They're exactly the same. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, I think so. You need to double check.
You fucked up. Yeah, you
Just
fucked
give
up.
me a moment then.
That's why the confusion was. I put them both up in Paint, and the pixel count's exactly the same on both.
Sorry. Oh, it's all right. I made sure that it was very different.
You should have colored the water. It would have looked better.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have time.
Do I have permission to call this guy a retard?
Yeah, that's
no. He's just confused, Charlie.
No, he's not. He sent the wrong picture. The one he just sent is a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't. He doesn't think he can control the water level, can he?
Give me a moment, Bev. So there's the first one,
sort of
and there's the second one. Okay, the second one is
after opening your window.
Yeah, so the first one's before I open the window, and the second one's after I open my window.
And what you're saying,
and I did give you a clue.
Hydrostatic
I have an evaporative air conditioner in my house.
The potential has changed.
No.
What's that, about an inch?
Wasn't
inch and a half?
Taped to the wall, mate.
Either side? Wow, that's nice.
Would you like me to tell you what happened?
There's a massive pressure increase on one side or a pressure decrease on the other side. Obviously.
Bev, water levels aren't accurate because air pressure changes over the top of them make them inaccurate.
So what is compressible?
So what you saying?
Because I opened the window next to the level, the air rushing past the level itself from my evaporative air conditioner was causing the air pressure over the two tops of the tube to be different.
Yeah, well, you obviously don't do that then, do you?
So
probably not one of the best
you can't
places
use it as an accurate measuring tool to see
No,
if there's
you
curvature
close-
of the
what
air.
You saying I can't use
snap.
a water level, in air?
Well,
have you
that one's in air.
Yeah, is that what
Yes,
you're
he
saying, though?
hasn't seen-
It is inaccurate when using it in the air? Is that what you're suggesting?
I just said that there's a problem with the water level right there, that if there's any wind, a change in pressure in the atmosphere or anything like that, the water level itself becomes inaccurate.
Okay, so who was that? Who's done that? I think. Can we get a name?
Aussie Ball.
Aussie Baller.
Aussie. Aussie Baller. I think you have in this Discord channel disproved the fact that a water level can be used as a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference.
I'm just saying.
Because of air.
A water level is fallible.
In the air.
I'm just saying a water level can be fallible.
What's your tolerance? What's your accuracy of it? Go on. What's
your accuracy of yours?
A water level. It establishes a horizontal plane of reference.
That's 10 mil. That's 10 mil tape.
Yeah.
So you work out. You can work it out if you want to count pixels or that. I'm just showing you that a water level is not necessarily the best tool.
I've had
what you're trying to do.
I've had 100-meter water level, and I've placed it either end of a 50. Put an auto level in the middle and checked it.
And was it a windy day?
Yeah, we couldn't get it to alter. It was bang on horizontal. Yeah, there was a bit of wind there. Yeah.
But I've just shown you there. A bit of wind can make a big difference on a water level.
Nah, I think you. But I mean, that's up to you. I mean, anybody else is willing to have a go at this, trying to disprove the water level being a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference.
Are you going to respond to it at all? Because you don't seem to have responded.
There's a pressure difference.
Apart from clarifying 3 times what it was he was saying.
There's an obvious
you didn't get it the
pressure
first time.
difference because the water level establishes its own zero. That calls that level. Right, so anything above or below that is a pressure increase or decrease. It can't support itself. It establishes a zero pressure.
Are you saying when I open my bathroom window that my house level changes? Does it?
You're saying that. You're saying you've took a picture of it. I'm saying, well done. Anybody else have a go at replicating this?
Oh, how about you?
Replicating a water level not being level.
That's what you banging on about, isn't it, Bev?
Look, hold on. You don't need to ask me. You don't need to clarify with me what it is you need to replicate. Because you've just said, can anyone else replicate this? So whatever the thing was that you were talking about replicating, that's also the thing that I'm talking about replicating when I talk about replicating in the very next sentence to your sentence about replicating.
Yeah, bung one end up and that'll do it. It's just to increase pressure at one end from the other. I mean, it's easy.
Yeah, you can see both ends, Bev. They're not bunged up.
Okay.
Right. I was going to ask if you establish like a level with this first picture where both lines are at the tape level, do you think if you lift one side up that the water will not meet that line?
I reckon if I close my bathroom window again, it will go back to level again.
Or if you just
I reckon you don't know what you're talking about. And other people are letting you talk because they obviously don't know that you're talking shite either. Or they're quite happy to let you carry on doing it.
All he's done is shown you what he's done. Where's the shite in that?
He's manipulated the pressure differences at either end of a water level. I mean, it is pretty obvious what he's done.
So where's the shite in that?
Because a water level establishes a equipotential, even
again,
altitude.
but where is the talking shite in this? He's shown you what he's done.
That's not an equipotential, even altitude.
Which bit of what he said was talking shite?
He's trying to suggest that that's a water level, but it's not. It's manipulated. It's got a pressure difference at either end. Hence, no equipotential,
so
even
before it
altitude.
Had the pressure difference at either end, was it a water level then?
The water.
You agreed it was when he first showed you the picture of it.
The water level, I don't know. It's just a tube on
was
a wall.
Was it a water
dude.
level before the
It's
the
just a tube on a wall, isn't it?
So it was never a water level.
What is it to you, Gem?
It was a
what
water
is it
level.
to you, Gem? But how did you verify it?
It's nothing to do with me. I'm asking you about it.
It's just a picture, right?
Oh, so it's not even a real thing now.
It's a picture.
Could be CGI.
It's a picture on your Discord, Gem.
What?
It's a picture on your Discord.
So that's what we're going to do now. So anybody that shows any evidence in an image, we're just going to go, that's a picture.
No, that's
could
not.
Could be of a sausage, could be of a banana, could be of a water level. None of that matters anymore. All we will derive from it is that's a picture.
Yeah.
That seems like an honest position to hold, Bev.
Bev, I'm honestly surprised you didn't take what Crit said, because I agree with Crit. You would just cap both ends and eliminate pressure as an issue. I'm very surprised that you've yet to say that.
The thing is, though, he did just say words.
That's not a water level. That's not how a water level works.
So, pictures, words, that's it. It was just words.
If you do that to a water level, the water won't move. You can put your thumb over the end of one end of the hose or pipe or tube and the water won't move.
You can put a pressure gauge over the end of that tube as well and see the increase and decrease of pressure.
My whole point here, though, Bev, was to show you that if there is a pressure differential from one end of your water level to the other end of the water level, you've now got an inaccuracy that you haven't even thought about.
It's not an equipotential surface.
You haven't accounted for.
This is pretty powerful. It's like a straw, where you stick a straw into like your cup and then hold one end and lift it up. The water goes up in the straw. It stays there.
Yeah, but you could flip it upside down and it'll come down to your finger.
Oh, yeah.
So have you got anything beyond pretending that this isn't actually happening, Bev, or is that?
I've told you there's a difference in pressure.
Extent of your response to this.
What's up with that? Hydrostatics. We all know how hydrostatics work, surely.
Right. So does this create an inaccuracy when you use a water level, especially over the distances you're talking about using one?
It's not got an equipotential.
And how are you going to I think it does, and assuming you're going to agree that it does. How are you
show
going
us it on the video?
How are you going to cope?
Really, that'd be better.
Why are you talking? I am speaking. What is wrong with you? What possessed you to start speaking in the middle of my sentence? This isn't a rhetorical question.
Does it?
Why did you do that? Oh, we're fucking quiet now. I give you the chance to speak. Is this going to create an inaccuracy? And how are you going to deal with it if you agree that it does? That is my question.
To me?
Yes,
to the room. It's I've said before, there is obviously a pressure difference at either end of that, because it's not an even altitude, is it? Quite obviously different.
What?
All right. Can I ask
not
a question?
An even altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's
anyway. My question again is does this mean that a water level has the potential to be inaccurate? And if you are going to do a test using a water level over a long distance, how are you going to deal with this inaccuracy?
Well, I don't know. This guy would have to do more experimentation with opening and closing his window. There will be no windows whenever I've never really used a water level near a window. Most of mine are using outside.
And you accept that there are air
just out in the open
in different locations, right?
Yeah,
that's measurable. Unless you chemo.
You could measure it. How would you measure that?
Barometer?
You'd measure that not with a ruler.
Well, I measure air pressure with a ruler.
I don't know. You would measure the air pressure difference in between that little bit of air, would you? Do you reckon that? How do you reckon that you'd do that? Because you've got pressure at one end.
Are you asking me a question? Yeah. My question to you is: do you agree that there are air pressure differences in different locations?
Well, can you imagine how much air pressure difference you'd need to adjust the water level?
So don't bother with that line of inquiry.
Is that about a metre? Is that about a meter, the difference between that?
Is that an answer to the question?
I don't know. I need to get an idea of scale.
You don't know if there are air pressure differences in different locations. This is something you don't know.
He said he opened his window. And look at the amount of difference. It's like over a metre with him opening his window. What was that? How would that happen? It'd be like a hurricane or something outside.
It would not. They're blowing air over the top of one of them.
Did anybody actually hear Bev answer Gem's question? I didn't.
No, just avoided it completely.
Oh,
No, I
not
didn't
answer it.
No. But to be fair, Gem, he did that with like 15 questions.
You've got to pretend that this won't affect his measurement when he knows damn well it will. Thank you very much for the super chat. Digital demand. Shut up.
No way you
Shut up, Brian.
Yeah.
That pressure differential.
Yeah, that's right. Mute Brian.
Oh, fucking Thank you very much for the super chat, Digital Demonic Davros. Why are we dealing with this child, Bev? He has nothing. Thank you. Go ahead, Brian.
There is no way in 1 meter you could have the pressure difference between them two tubes. That has been rigged.
Brian, were you here when I explained it before?
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Brian, stop. Brian, I've muted you. You need to give a fuck. He told you what he did. He has specifically gone through a process of manipulating the pressure. So you're not revealing some big cheat here. He told you he did that.
Well, why are you trying to act like that's a water level then?
In what way is it not a water level?
Like we said, it obviously has been manipulated. There's a pressure difference at either side.
Bev, you agreed it's a water level.
Your man tried to fool you that saying it was opening a fucking window.
It's a water level. It's not us trying to say it's a water level. We all agreed it's a water level. Right?
But the water isn't level because it's been manipulated. The pressure.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
The whole point of that
you manipulate pictures in order to cause some sort of confusion.
Was it the picture that was manipulated or the air, Bev? Because that's a nice little lie that you just dropped in there.
You've got a clue.
He could just be blowing air over one of the tubes, creating a vacuum in the tube. That's all
could that happen? Could that happen in the open air? Could there be a pressure difference and air blowing over the top of it?
Ask yourself that in 1 meter.
Yes,
do you believe you can have that much
the answer, Brian, is yes, 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 yes. This would cause an inaccuracy in Bev's proposed test. Yes.
And he admitted it.
All we need is one of you two to be honest enough to admit that. Go ahead, Brian. Let's hear you.
Air blowing over the end, you reckon?
Not to mention, Baller already stated that because he had the air conditioner going in his house. When he opened the window, it changed the pressure variation over both holes.
More than that, isn't it?
Why? He told you that.
There's a pressure difference and an airflow, I think, at play.
Yeah.
Probably.
What diameter
we see it happening over a short distance.
Yeah, what scale
That's
of
got
tube
nothing
are we
to do with
dealing
it.
with?
It's got nothing to do with it. You
Yeah,
guys are just trying to
we've
look
asked
for
you what the
loopholes.
scale
That's all
of
you're
it, what
doing.
it is. How
No,
distance
we'll
is
show
it?
you how he's fucking faked it. I'll show you.
Yeah.
How has he faked it, Brian?
He's
told
He's blowing air over one of the ends of the tube, creating a vacuum at that end. That's how he's faked.
Both ends actually.
Right, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'll respond to that, and I'll explain once again from the beginning. In my house, I have got what we call in Australia a swampy air conditioner. So it's an evaporative air conditioner. What it does is it blows a whole heap of air into your house and pressurizes your house. When you do that, a water level like this next to a window, you end up getting a low pressure on one side of the tube. So yes, I set it up so that it would do this to show in an extreme situation that a water level is not necessarily accurate. That was the whole premise behind it.
What's the diameter and length of the tube?
And it makes no difference, because the inaccuracy will be with any size diameter of tube. And if you've got a low pressure at one end of your tube and a higher pressure at the other end, for example, a windy day, your water level can quite possibly, and I didn't say definitely, I said quite possibly, be very inaccurate.
It'll also be inaccurate if the temperature of the water is different at each end of the tube as well.
Yep.
Well, how about the longer the tube is? Would that be factored out? Because the more water would have to get put?
No, it makes it worse, because
Yeah.
if you've got your one end of your tube in a low pressure zone and the other end of your tube in a high pressure zone, the further apart, that effect is going to be exaggerated.
All right, go on. So, how long was your tube in your house?
Oh,
give us some distance measurements from the window at one end and the diameter of the pipe, and then the distance from the other end of the.
One side's literally an inch away from the window. It's just out of sight. It's the way I took the picture, so you couldn't see the window, Bev.
Okay. And the other
So
end
all
is
of
how
that
far
air,
away?
All of that air is
The other
rushing
end is
past
how
one
far
end
away?
a lot more than the other.
The other end is how far away, and what's the sort of
it's about
distance?
30 centimetres wide.
Right. How much height difference did you end up with? We can work the pressure out. It's water, right?
You can count pixels, Bev, if you want.
No, I haven't got a clue. Like you give us a clue.
I've got it, Bev.
When
all
you have
need to do is join the tops together with another tube, and the air will flow from one side to the other to get the level. Don't worry about it. I've got it.
Yeah. I was just trying to work out that tape. How thick's that tape?
He told you
like
at the
an
start.
Inch tape.
Oh my god!
Or is it 2 inch?
He doesn't
tape?
listen.
Bev,
Five-
like
with
you've
a
said
5
to everyone
millimeter?
else, just rewind the stream and go back and listen to what I said in the first place, and I told you it all there. I'm not going to say it again.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you have the dimensions of these things, what difference will it make? What calculations are you going to make from the width of the tape? How is that relevant?
You can tell how much pressure difference there is because of the water level. It establishes an equilibrium of zero pressure. So if there's more or less on either side, it goes up or down. I mean, that's what a manometer does, right? A pressure gauge.
Hang on, Bev.
Peter, what brand of masking tape did you use?
It's 3M. So,
much
Bev,
was
my question is then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either you have to double all of the pipes that you're going to make your water level out of now and completely reconfigure it.
Yeah.
Or you need to work out some way of seeing if there's an air pressure difference from one end of your tubes to the other.
Oh, that'll be why I got a pressure gauge. You know.
How are you going to see that at 100 meters?
Is it tap water or distilled water?
Or you have to do them both at the same time, Bev.
To do what?
Because wind changes.
Oh, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll put taps in every 100 meters, and then we can check the pressure.
You get 2 pressure gauges then, or 3.
Yeah, you're going to need pressure gauges at each point.
I just checked
At each
it was
point,
just
Bev,
the one
and
pressure
all of them-
gauge that you got, wasn't
Are
it?
you telling me? Are you telling me what I need?
Every single one of them.
Hang on,
Hey,
Bev,
you need to
Bev,
Dude, it's
how
all
many
right.
pressure gauges did you buy? And we need to know the brand of the pressure gauge.
No, this
and
is
how big it is.
This is
and its accuracy.
This is my test, my proof.
And what's its calibration, and who calibrated it, and where was it done? Was
And
it
why did
northern
you
or
only buy
southern
one?
hemisphere?
Why did you only buy one?
You zero a pressure gauge, don't you? Never mind.
No, you don't zero a pressure gauge.
What the manometer?
Oh my god.
Are you going to use a manometer?
Unbelievable.
You're going to use a manometer?
Yeah, manometer,
Hang on, that's
guys.
like using a
You're
ppm
going to use a
meter.
manometer. How are you going to compare air pressures in different locations using a manometer?
I was just going to say that.
Not the air pressure.
Did you get that? Did you get that from Sleeping Warrior?
The water pressure.
We're all talking about air pressure, but
yeah,
we
were talking about the water pressure. Yeah, the water sets the zero, doesn't it?
I want to know where the egg comes in.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, but that's the thing. We were talking about air pressure changing the level of the water, and you just want to worry about the water pressure.
Yeah,
do you see the folly of your ways here?
The water sets the zero, not the air.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I just showed you that it doesn't.
No.
It's the pressure. It's the pressure of the air around it that sets the level of the water, mate.
So any force acting upon that water, generally gravity, which pulls it down to make it level. However, any other force acting upon that water will change your results.
I mean, does it act normal, perpendicular to the surface?
Well, it's no longer level, Bev. It's no longer level, Bev, so that's a problem for you.
Perpendicular.
It's not my problem. I don't care.
Level is perpendicular.
But that's... I just showed you that water level is no longer level.
Yeah, it is.
Thought level was horizontal, Bev, not perpendicular.
I was just going to say horizontal. No one said that.
Perpendicular to vertical, right? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's one of the right lines, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
You just had your level is horizontal shit busted, and now you're trying to double down. Good job.
Wow, your gaslighting's going to do well. But, I mean, you'd be better just coming in and learning a bit first.
Bev, you're the one that just said level is perpendicular.
Yeah, it's a right line, right? It's perpendicular.
No, you said it was perpendicular.
You know what? You do realise what perpendicular is, don't you?
So you're changing the story
now. See, they would help, wouldn't they, Becky, coming round? It would really help.
Maybe try a different tack, Bev.
May understand a little bit more about the words we
Take
use.
the L and just be humble.
Bev. Just take the L, go away, rethink what you're doing, and come back maybe later.
Gaslighting. It's terrible. Are you the best they've got? You're
Gaslighting.
changing the pressure at the end of a water level and then admitting you've done that and then trying to get that as some sort of a win.
But Bev, do you understand why I showed you this?
And he didn't
to show us that you can.
He did it. Hold on.
You can alter the pressure levels at the either end of the tube.
Hang on. He didn't admit that he had done that. What are you talking about? He came in, stated what he did from the start. There was no admission at any point. Sorry, but that had to be said.
No, it was a good point, Gem.
Seriously.
The whole reason I did this, Bev, was to simply show you, as easily as I possibly could, that a water level has many things that can make it inaccurate. And over the distance that you're talking about, one of the things that you need to take into consideration is air pressure, because air pressure will make a water level inaccurate. And we're not talking about much air pressure.
What do you mean, air pressure?
you know that thing that the weatherman talks about when he says high and low pressure, when there's a high pressure cell coming over. You know that thing?
Pressure relative to something, right?
Yeah. Find a way to ask a question about that. Go on.
I mean, it's pretty easy to show. Put your mouth over the end of the tube and blow a little bit. That increases the pressure at that end of the tube.
Yeah,
what happens
just
to the water
carry on.
level?
I've got to make the missus a breakfast.
So you just felt as if it was your turn to talk.
Yeah, that's it. Run away.
You felt as if it was your turn
to make
talk,
the missus
even though I hadn't
breakfast.
finished my sentence yet. All right.
Okay.
Right. Be polite and wait till I'm finished, Bev. All right. So you put your mouth over one end of the tube, you blow, and that obviously increases the pressure in one end of the tube. And what happens to the water level? It changes.
I think he picked this opportune moment to beat a hasty retreat.
I said I'm making the missus her breakfast. I'll be back in a bit.
like I say,
I'm not going anywhere, Gem.
An opportune moment.
I was waiting for you to explain pressure while I was gone. Air pressure.
You're the
in
one,
particular.
you're the one that's under pressure. You're the one that's required to answer questions, not me. Because Bev apparently needs someone to explain air pressure. Because as a man in his 40s, this is the first time he's heard about it. And he needs other adults to explain it to him. You can't just Google it.
Fucking hell, it's like he's never ridden a push bike before or had a car.
You would think he would realise that this is such an obvious technique. Because if anybody was actually in his situation, where people were talking about air pressure, and he had never heard of it before, the last thing he would do is say, "Oh, tell me about air pressure." He'd fucking go and Google it and find out about it, so he knew about it and didn't look like a twat. I mean, what adult in the 21st century, who's grown up in the West, is going to say, "Well, tell me how air pressure works"?
Bev?
Fuck off.
Bev will ask you that question.
Fucking lunatic.
I mean, does he watch the weather and think when they're talking about, it's going to be 1,028 millibars or whatever they're going to use, he goes, oh, there's no gravity because it's gone up.
Anyway, it's a good point, Ozzy. I think it's
I didn't want to take it off topic too much, Gem. I just thought that it's something that Bev really needs to consider.
You fucking destroyed him, mate.
It's like the effects of a manometer, actually.
Oh, that was a quick breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that was really quick. What'd you do? Throw some toast on?
So, you know,
no, he couldn't even be bothered to stay and have a conversation with her.
Are you upset I'm back or something?
No, it's because your incredulity is just beyond belief.
Okay.
Would have a couple of questions, but he's away now.
I think he's back now.
Yeah, I'm back.
I'm not sure. How are we doing on the breakfast, Bev? Is it complete?
I said I've got to go and take the missus her breakfast, yeah? Brilliant. Are you all right now?
And then you came back. So has that been done or not?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm asking.
Yes, thank you, Gem.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, does the water level care what the ground or the earth is doing below it?
Absolutely not. That's why I kept saying
and geometry,
even altitude.
Yeah, and geometry is earth measure, right?
Yeah.
How do you tie geometry with the water level? Because it's not earth, so it's not earth measure.
2 points. Is that
2 points on what?
Yeah, the shortest distance between 2 points shall be called a straight line. Geometry.
Yeah. In geometry. Yeah. How do you know? How do you tie those together?
2 points because there's two ends of a water level.
And you can imagine a line between those 2 points, which is what geometry says. It's not a physical or actual line. Yeah, it's an imaginary line.
A horizontal plane of reference. It's not imaginary because you've got those 2 points in reality, haven't you? You've got
what's
a physical thing in front of you with the water level in a tube.
Wait. Did you say that you have points in reality?
When you have a water level in your hand, you have a water level, right? You can. Yeah. That's a point, isn't it? That's a physical point for reference of a level.
What? Where's the point in water level when point has no dimensions?
Where the water is.
How do you know that a point in geometry has no dimensions? It doesn't exist.
It's the water level.
Right?
Yeah, it's a reference, right? It's how you
do
can
you know
reference geometry to reality. You can say this point is at an equal elevation to this point over here. Draw a straight line between the two.
I mean, points don't exist, right?
If you've got a water level and an elevation check, then yeah, they do exist. They're there in reality.
Oh, a point with no dimensions exists in reality.
Yeah, the link between geometry and reality is very strong. I can't deny that. But when the dude was setting up geometry as an axiomatic system,
all right, then, Bev.
He needed to start somewhere, didn't he?
All right, Bev. All right, Bev. Let's take you on a little geometry expedition then. So, if I've got a flat body of water, or let's not say flat body of water. Let's not presume that it's flat. If I've got a single body of water that's calm, it's not moving, it's not running, it's not flowing, it's got no ripples on it, you would agree with me that the surface of that water establishes a level, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what I do is I establish a point a certain distance above that water level. Let's call it 1 meter. So I establish a point 1 meter above that surface at 2 separate locations.
Yep.
Right.
You could drop a plumb bob from it as well.
No, don't presume to know what I'm going to do, Bev. Just listen.
I was saying it's an extra check.
Just listen. All right. So now what I do, that I've established those 2 1 meter high points above the surface of the water at different locations, I can sight along those two, between those 2 points, can't I? And the line between those 2 points will be a straight line, correct?
Yeah, parallel to the surface of the water. Yeah?
Yeah, right. Good. And now I can also do what you said. At each of those 2 points, I can drop and establish a vertical, can't I?
Yeah. Perpendicular at both sides, wouldn't it?
A vertical. No, don't tell me about that. I said, and you need to listen carefully, I said establish a vertical.
Yeah.
The plumb bob establishes a vertical.
Yeah.
It doesn't establish a perpendicular, it establishes a vertical.
A vertical, by being a straight line, is a perpendicular, right?
No, Bev,
yeah,
you need to listen carefully. We're using the plumb bob to establish a vertical.
Yeah.
Right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the angle between that vertical and the line that we've established between those 2 points. Now, you're going to tell me that that measurement should be 90 degrees, should be perpendicular, shouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, in reality, Bev, they're not.
What? They're not?
Provide a practical demonstration.
What are they then?
They're not. They're not. And practical demonstrations.
What are they then, please?
And now you're getting scared or something because I'm not finished.
Just asking.
All right. Well, then why are you interrupting? All right. Wait your turn. Okay. So there have been plenty of demonstrations, and this is in fact a method in surveying used to establish that verticals are not parallel to each other.
Really?
Right? You know, yes, you know what it's called. It's called reciprocal zenith angles, isn't it, Bev?
No,
and it's a method, and it's a method that they use, and it's a method that they use in surveying to show
when
that
you can't do it.
That verticals are not parallel.
No, it's not. No. Please don't.
Absolutely,
I wouldn't repeat that, because even the people that put the video out aren't willing to say that themselves. They're waiting for people like you to say that. It's not true. They don't measure the vertical lines aren't parallel. No surveyor does that.
Yes, surveyors have done that.
No, they don't. You cannot measure that your reference frame is not perpendicular.
Bev, just calm down and wait. Why do you feel as if you have to shout and yell over the top of when I'm talking?
You're degrading an entire profession without even knowing it.
You are, Bev, because you're denying that this is what people have actually done and measured.
I'm just saying what happens in reality, dude. You guys get triggered.
Well, I'm just saying what happens in reality too, dude. And when you do that measurement...
Cite us one of these people.
Not finished, Bev, not finished. When you establish that line between the two levels, right, that is a straight line, and we can do that. We can sight along that line. We can also measure the angle between that line that we've established and the vertical. And when we do that, we find that those angles are not 90 degrees.
Well, what are they?
They're greater than 90 degrees, Bev.
What, from both sides?
From both sides, Bev.
Right, okay. Would that mean that horizontals intersect at some point?
What it means is that those verticals are not parallel, Bev.
Would that mean that the horizontals intersect at some point?
I'll repeat again what it means. It means that those verticals are not parallel, Bev.
Would that mean...
Paul, can I ask you something?
Sure.
When you have a level table, what would happen if you put a marble on it?
Well, it depends.
Right. So if the table wasn't level and you put a marble on the solid surface, what would happen?
What do you mean by level in this situation, Merv?
Well, I mean, if the table surface was, say, uneven, what would happen if you put the marble on the hard surface?
It would roll, wouldn't it?
Yes. I appreciate that, Paul.
How does that in any way add to this conversation, Mel?
Well, it's interesting that on hard surfaces, one of the ways also, besides levels and plumb bobs and horizontal lines, a funny way to test if something's level or not is to place a marble, which is a sphere, funnily enough, onto the level surface. And if it's dead even, that marble won't move a millimeter.
Right, Merle, but that only establishes a level at one particular point. What we need to do is we need to show that the horizontal at that particular point is the same as the horizontal at another particular point.
Get a
at the same
water
elevation.
level. Get a water level.
All right? A water level does not do that.
Yeah, it does.
Measuring reciprocal zenith angles establishes that fact. A water level will only establish an elevation at two particular locations. It will not tell you what the horizontal is at those locations.
Horizontal's the same thing.
It is not.
Paul, can I just respond to Merle there just for a moment?
Yeah, mate.
There's a picture. I'm just dropping a picture for you, Merle.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Zanuck one. That's an old Zanuck one. And that, once you come round, Merle, you'll see how close to reality that actually is for them. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
giggling. I always find that a compelling argument. Giggling.
Well, just if I can just make the final point.
It will not be final.
It will.
No, it won't.
Well, the unfortunate thing for some people in this room is that I've been around years.
Doesn't mean shit.
It does, because common sense has always been met with ridicule. That's my journey. And I'm sorry to say that I have video evidence to support my claim.
Oh. Have you a full image?
So, Davros, just wind your neck in, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't tell me what to do, mate.
I just did.
Like a child.
I just did.
A water level establishes a horizontal midway between the two ends of the water level. That's where it establishes a horizontal. It does not establish a horizontal at each end of the water level.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Even geometrically, you've just said it does, but you don't even understand what you've just said.
No, I have
that
not
you
said
understand
that.
level so little.
I quite clearly said geometrically that a water level establishes a horizontal midway between the two ends of the water level.
Which puts the two ends as a chord and the midpoint being a sagittar, which is measured as perpendicular, which also makes the chord perpendicular, which makes it horizontal. I mean, At least some people understand it geometrically, and other people just don't. It's all right.
You said it's just nonsense, Bev.
Well, you may think so.
I think so.
But if you knew anything about geometry, surveying, or reality,
Bev,
you might know a little more.
Bev, if you put all those words into a deciphering machine, it still can't make sense of that shit.
I know, it sounds like a foreign language to you, doesn't it?
No, it's not that. It's that it was nonsensical, the fact that you equated perpendicular to horizontal. Again.
Do you know, you don't understand what perpendicular is, do you?
And right angle too. Right angles, doesn't it?
It's the relationship of a straight line to another straight line. Two right lines.
It's called square.
And so how do you explain that the chord between 2 points at the same elevation on a body of water and the perpendiculars at those 2 points, right, do not correspond to verticals?
The vertical at your presupposed sagittar point would be coming down perpendicular to the point that you said it was horizontal. That horizontal would be, if it was perpendicular to your vertical, it would be parallel to the chord. Tangent point.
I quite clearly said that the perpendiculars to that chord at each end will not correspond to the verticals at those ends. Please address that.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, don't talk about verticals on a circle, dude.
Why not?
Holy fuck! I'd never want to make a fucking bit of pipe work with this prick.
What? I'm suddenly not allowed to talk about verticals on a circle?
In the vertical position, yeah.
What is a vertical?
Yeah, you know where vertical is, right?
Yeah, but I'm asking you, Bev. I know what it is, but I'm asking you.
Well, I said perpendicular, didn't I?
To what?
To the chord.
Oh.
The centre point where you have a sagittar of your presupposed model, geometrically.
A vertical is not necessarily perpendicular to the chord between 2 points.
We're not talking about verticals, are we? We're talking about circles.
I absolutely was talking about a vertical. Why aren't I allowed to talk about verticals?
Because you're talking about a chord. Chords are part of a circle.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is. That's right.
Where's your vertical?
Now,
you're not getting confused between a geometrical model of a circle and a vertical in reality.
In the middle of my sentence again, so I'll start again. All right, so let's go through some geometry with you then, since you love geometry. If I have a circle and I take 2 points on the circumference of that circle and make a chord between them, right?
Yep.
And now I establish a tangent point. I establish a tangent at each of those 2 points, right?
Why?
Well, why not?
Okay.
I'm just saying we're going to establish a tangent at each of those 2 points where the chord cuts the circle.
Okay.
You follow me?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Doing away with the circle. Let's start with triangles.
I'm doing a circle. All right. And so we've established that there's a chord between these 2 points. We've established a tangent at those 2 points. Okay. Then a perpendicular to that tangent would be at right angles to the tangent, and it would go through the centre of the circle.
That's how you would establish the tangent already. Yeah? By establishing the tangent, you've already established the perpendicular.
Again, I'll say you're not trying to deflect from this point. The perpendicular to that tangent would be a line that goes through the centre of the circle and is at right angles to that tangent, correct?
Yeah, that's how you establish a tangent, yeah. Right angles to the centre, yeah. Yeah, the shortest path that will be the radius, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, so would it be fair to call that a vertical if we called the tangent a horizontal?
No, it's a radius.
It's not a radius. A radius is a distance measurement.
Yeah, of the circle that you've just done that tangent to. That's a radius.
I'm not talking about a distance measurement. A radius is a number that measures a length. All right. A vertical A vertical is a concept that establishes a direction.
In reality. No, vertical's in reality. It's perpendicular from reality.
It's perpendicular to the horizontal, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, vertical
Right.
and horizontal.
And what I'm
Two
pointing
straight
out
lines.
is that horizontal on a circle, all right, is different in different locations, isn't it, Bev?
No. A horizontal is a horizontal. Like if you're talking about a horizontal on a circle, then you're talking about reality, obviously. So you find a circle somewhere and then make a horizontal on top of it. You'll find it will always be parallel to the plane of the horizon, as horizontals
So you
all
love
are.
geometry so much that you're going to deny that we can't call a tangent to a circle a horizontal and the line that's perpendicular to that a vertical.
In order to do that, you're just putting a circle underneath a straight line, right?
Oh
I mean, you
God.
can do that
That's
as
what a
much as you
tangent
want.
is, isn't it?
That's
When
exactly
we're dealing
what
with
a tangent
circles.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can take a tangent from a circle, can't you?
I'm saying I just deal with horizontal
And you can take a perpendicular from
vertical.
a tangent, which is exactly what this guy's saying, which is bang on point.
Absolutely. Because if we make the assumption now, Bev, that the Earth is flat, and we're talking about a flat surface now, if we pick 2 points on that flat surface, right, and we establish a vertical using a plumb bob, right, and then we construct a tangent to that surface at a particular elevation by doing 90 degrees from that vertical.
Tangent to a flat?
Yes.
You say. Okay. You realise a tangent...
So we establish
You know
a
what a
vertical and a
tangent is,
horizontal. So we
don't you?
establish a vertical and a horizontal, don't we? By using a plumb bob to establish the vertical.
Yeah,
and then
in
we
reality,
establish the,
absolutely.
And in reality, yes.
Yep.
And then we establish the horizontal by doing a line that is at 90 degrees from that vertical, don't we?
It's just a level. Yeah, you use a level.
Again. How do we establish that horizontal? We do it by
using a
making
level.
a line that is 90 degrees from the vertical, don't we?
No, that just is a relationship that happens in reality. A horizontal is made by a tool called a level, and a level isn't a plumb bob. They're two completely separate tools.
Again, by definition, Bev, right? Perpendicular means 90 degrees. Are you agreeing that perpendicular
right angles
is 90 degrees?
Perpendicular, yes, that's the relationship of it.
Is vertical 90
Vertical
degrees
is
from
one
horizontal?
of those right lines, yes.
That's correct. So we can establish a horizontal by constructing a line that is 90 degrees from the vertical, can't we?
Geometrically?
Yes.
Yeah, you could represent one line on a piece of paper as a vertical and then represent the other line in the other plane, much like architects do and people who draw maps and everything, right? You have elevation map on one plane and the other map on the other plane, right? All flat maps are flat that way, and then all elevation profiles are on the other axis, right? Elevation
it seems
axis.
like you're wandering around the question, Bev, because all the question was can we establish a horizontal at a particular location by first establishing a vertical and then constructing the horizontal by drawing a line 90 degrees to the perpendicular, to the vertical?
In reality,
can we do that?
No, you'd use a tool.
Can we do that, Bev?
By drawing a line. No, I'd suggest not.
In reality, at a particular location, Bev, I'll say it again. In reality, at a particular location, we can use a plumb bob to establish a vertical. We can then construct a horizontal by making a plane that is 90 degrees to that vertical, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
How are you doing this? I just want to picture it in my mind a little bit better. Are we doing this like on like a big 8x4 sheet of thing and you're dropping a thing? Because when you say construct a plane in reality, give us a bit more of an idea on what you're planning to do.
Well, we can use a tool like a theodolite, can't we, Bev, that establishes a vertical, right? We know that we have self-leveling
that would establish
like Bev, I'm not finished. Bev, you asked me to explain something. You get halfway through my sentence and then you start chiming in. Rude. All right. Wait and listen. All right. A theodolite can establish a vertical. All right. There are tools that we have that can establish using a plumb bob. All right, a mechanism. It doesn't have to be a literal plumb bob, a bit of metal hanging from a string. All right, but there are tools, you will agree, that establish a vertical, correct?
Yeah, they're called plumb bobs or perpendicles. Yeah.
Right, and then we also have tools that measure angles, right? And if we combine those two concepts into one tool, we can have a tool that establishes a vertical and also allows us to establish a perpendicular to that vertical.
Yeah. Go on.
Okay, so we do that in a particular location and we have established a horizontal at that location, correct?
Absolutely. Go on.
Okay, so now if we're very careful and we do that in a particular location where we know the elevation, like let's do this like I first anticipated on a body of water that's not flowing, that's still no waves, and we establish a point that's 1 meter above that body of water.
Okay.
Right, so I can use that tool now to establish both a vertical and a horizontal at that point, can't I?
Yeah.
I can also do that at another point.
Got like
can't I?
An
I
angle.
can do that. I can
like
do
an
that.
angle on a stick. Like you've got a right angle on a stick.
No, Bev. It's a pretty simple concept. I can do the same procedure at another location on that body of water some distance away, can't I?
Yeah, like a right angle on a stick, just to visualize it.
Yeah. Now I can now establish a chord between those 2 points that I've defined.
What, in the air?
Those 2 locations. Yeah, sure.
A chord, though. How can you establish a chord?
A chord is just a straight line joining the 2 points.
That's just a straight line joining 2 points, right? There's no need to.
Sure. Let's
call it a straight line. Let's imagine there's a circle around it.
Let's
Come on.
Let's just call it a straight line.
Yeah, I don't want to upset you.
Call it a straight line between those 2 points.
Straight line, that's good.
Right. We can call it a straight line between those 2 points that we've established. Now, what we can show and what we've measured is that the horizontals at each end of that straight line do not coincide.
Well, they would be horizontal together, wouldn't they? If you were, it was a right angle and you had it vertical and horizontal at each end, that they would both be horizontal, right?
They're both horizontal at each end, yes. Yeah. But the key point here, Bev, is that those separate horizontals at each end of that straight line do not go in the same direction as that straight line.
What straight line? The horizontal is a straight line.
The straight line that we established between those 2 points.
The one that was at right angles?
No.
At each end?
No. I did not say it was at right angles, and I didn't even mention that.
Oh.
I said that we can construct a horizontal by making a right angle from the vertical at each end, and you agreed with that. That's a procedure that we can do. It's quite easy.
Yeah. Are you
right?
You're not having the horizontals intersecting at a midpoint.
So what we can do, Bev, is we can establish a horizontal at each point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then by geometrically joining those 2 points, we can also establish another direction, can't we?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
You're telling us. I'd say it's horizontally. That's 2 points.
Come on.
The shortest distance between 2 points would be a horizontal distance. Be honest.
You say you love geometry, and yet here you are questioning and saying you don't know whether joining 2 points with a straight line establishes a direction.
Yeah, horizontal. I mean,
no, Bev. I said it establishes
the horizontal's a straight line, though.
It establishes a direction.
Yeah, but like all I'm saying is, at 90 degrees to vertical is horizontal. Now, the shortest distance between 2 points would be a horizontal distance, especially if you've got a vertical.
That is not correct, Bev, because we can establish a horizontal at each end, which is what surveyors do. And we can then establish a direction by joining those 2 points, all right? And what we find is that the horizontal at each end does not coincide, is not collinear with that line between the 2 points.
Well, a straight line isn't collinear with a straight line.
Exactly. What does that mean, Bev? Come on, you're a
That
geometry
means
person.
you're seriously
If 2
screwed
lines,
up, mate.
if 3 points aren't collinear, what does that mean?
3 coplanar points. You're not saying that these horizontals
I didn't use the word
are you?
coplanar. I said if 3 points aren't collinear, what does that mean?
3 points are coplanar. 3 coplanar.
No, again, Bev, you seem to have trouble hearing what I'm saying. So shut up and listen. If 3 points are not collinear, what does that mean?
It means they're obviously coplanar.
How much geometry do you know?
Just the basics.
Well, obviously nothing beyond the basics, because if 3 points are not collinear, it means that you cannot draw a straight line between all 3 of those points.
It's a triangle, coplanar. Yeah, that's what I said.
Right. What it means is that the horizontal at each end is not collinear with the line joining the 2 points.
I don't know. Would the vertical be at right angles to the horizontal at all 3 points?
We've only established 2 points, one at each end.
Yeah, but you've got horizontals intersecting somewhere along the line that you don't seem to know. I think you've got a model of horizontals intersecting at a midpoint somewhere. But I mean, you can't be saying that, surely.
Absolutely. Now you're starting to understand it, aren't you, Beth?
That horizontals intersect. I don't think that's allowed.
Now, I'll finish my sentence whether you like it or not. Right? What we find is that when we establish those 2 horizontals at each end, by taking a vertical and establishing the horizontal by measuring 90 degrees from that vertical, what we find is that those 2 horizontals intersect at a point between those 2 points.
Only if you've got a model in your head, mate.
That is not at the same elevation as the 2 points.
That's only if you've been affected by a model. If you just live in reality, you don't do that.
That's what happens. That's what happens in reality with real measurements, Bev.
Well, have you done that in reality?
Sure.
Yeah. Nice.
Did you find the drop, Paul?
Or hump?
You know there are other people that have done this too. You do know that, don't you, Bev?
Which one did you measure?
But Paul, did you find the drop?
If you had followed, he just described the drop the other way around.
Merle's trying to white knight. Continue on with Bev.
No. This is an open. This is an open room.
You know that
you can rumpus all you like, Paul. It's a simple question.
Yeah, I'm not rumpusing at all. I'm being quite polite, actually, Mel.
Find the drop with your method? Yes or no?
You can do that. Yes.
You can do that, but did you find this drop or not?
What do you mean by find it? You can observe it.
So if you put a horizontal line on a sphere, something becomes apparent.
Think about what he said for a minute, Merle. If 2 horizontals from the same elevation intersect above that elevation, then looking along one, the origin of the other will appear lower.
Yeah, we've been given the numbers. Look in the chat box there.
So he just described a drop
you guys,
from the other way around, kind of.
That's you guys. You've been doing calculations. Look, you draw models and all sorts. There's the numbers you to measure. That's what you measured, right? Whoever
these were observations.
Who was it that measured? Ozzy.
You can also
you measured them,
right?
right?
You'd be familiar
the numbers that you got.
Bev, you'd be familiar with Jesse Kozlowski's way of doing this too. You know that he's actually done this observation, and he's got a YouTube video that shows it, and he shows how he establishes the elevations. He shows he shows you how
I'm not so sure you're allowed to talk about Jesse.
And he shows you that those horizontals don't coincide.
Wow. So you think Jesse said that the horizontals intersect, do you? I don't think he actually said that. I think he said that he didn't say that, actually.
You might want to go back and look at the video again, Bev.
You might want to get another source besides a YouTube surveyor. Really? What do you think that guy was trying to prove to you? And what did he actually say to you? He was talking about tilt, right? And you're thinking he said curve.
What's wrong with his method?
There you go.
What's wrong with his method? He's not measuring anything.
There's a clip of him in
he
here.
actually is.
I did not say that the level
Really? What do you
is
think he's
not
measuring?
horizontal.
He's actually observing something.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
it's
what
cleary.
he observes shows that it's not flat.
Yeah, what do you know about surveying? Anything at all?
Does it really matter what I know about
Yeah,
surveying?
because you're looking at it. You're looking at what the guy's doing.
So this is called an ad hom because you're attacking me rather than addressing
No,
the
you're
actual
looking at what the guy's
observation that I
doing, and you think you're an instant expert because you watched a YouTube video. Now you're here telling us what you think reality is, but you're clueless, right?
So
Not
are you a
Cleary,
surveyor?
shut up. He's got nothing.
So are you a surveyor?
No, but I've studied it.
Oh, so
and,
you're sitting here
understand
telling
geometry.
us.
You read
So
a
you're
book.
sitting here.
Read
So
a
you're
book.
sitting here telling. So you're sitting here telling us that we're wrong when you also have no expertise in it. Well done.
What
yeah,
books did you use
I'm not making-
to study clearing? What books did you reference? Can you reference
I
any books?
borrowed Rumpus's book. Yeah, I borrowed Rumpus's
No, I'm asking
textbook.
if you can guide me towards a good reference book, because I want to avoid YouTube.
Yeah, I don't use a book. I'm an expert in many things, but I don't use a book for those things, right? I'm not a little
Come round.
student.
We'll take you through the basics.
So
It's
how
pretty
did you study this? What was your method of study?
I understand the instruments. I've been consulted by experts on their practices.
I mean how have you studied it? So
He's
listened
extensively
to something.
studied
I just
right
answered your
lines.
question, and you didn't like my answer.
No,
Did you attend a
feel
lecture or something?
Yeah,
You've excluded videos and books.
Oh yeah.
No, there's a simpler way to explain this. Planar geometry will reveal something whether anybody likes it or not. If there's earth curve, a drop, it will become apparent. It can't be visibly
But you can't
observed.
presuppose that the Earth is a
It
plane.
can't be visibly. No one's presupposing that the Earth is a plane. That it's presupposed that it's a sphere or an oblate spheroid. That's where the investigation is.
Right.
Away
Well,
from.
Jesse Kozlowski
Hang
in
on.
here.
I'm nearly there. Away from confirmation bias, it's an objective inquiry. That no one has a predetermined result in mind. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, call
Yeah,
Jesse
how do you
Kozlowski in
establish
here to
that?
defend what he did,
With
right?
planar geometry is
Yeah,
how
but
you
if the Earth
establish
isn't
that.
a plane, but if the Earth isn't a plane, how can you apply that geometry to a
Rather
normal
than
plane?
Jesse Kozlowski coming in here and defending what he did, surely it should be up to you to actually tell us and inform us
elevation.
and tell us and
Like we
inform
do
us
in
as to
No, you're
what
the
he did
you're
wrong.
the uninformed dummy here representing what he did, and he can't come and back it up. He won't come. Jesse,
I'm
come talk to me.
I'm not here to defend it. I'm here to ask you and have you tell me what's wrong with his method. What did he do wrong?
Geometry.
Watch. Yeah, exactly.
What? So
Watch
if
our
he uses
videos.
geometry, he's wrong. That's pretty stupid.
Yeah, three coplanar points, right? Then he wants to curve it into a ball. It's a freaking joke, dude.
You can take 3 points from.
So what did he do wrong? What did Jesse do wrong?
Dude,
how many days do you have? for
They
me to
wouldn't
explain
even
all the
understand
shit
it,
that he did wrong?
Clary.
My life.
That's really
Wouldn't
weird,
even get it.
Clary. Would it really take you days to explain all of the things?
Oh, yeah,
It'd
yeah,
take
it's-
years for you guys to understand
So
it.
it would take longer than 48 hours talking continuously for you to explain all of the things.
Are you challenging me to a 48-hour marathon? It
No,
sounds like
I'm
fun.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm saying don't be such a twat. That is weak and feeble. If you can't explain what you think you did wrong, then I think you don't have an argument.
What, when he's misusing the equipment, looking across the lake?
No, what he
Or
did
which
wrong.
time?
In what way
What
did
he did
misuse
wrong
the
was
equipment?
saying it is measurable and there is a drop from horizontal. That was Jesse's mistake. That's why Jesse's gone. Let's face it, that's geometry.
So anybody who doesn't say that the Earth is level, will they've got it wrong according to you guys for that
Thanks
reason.
for another soundbite right there. That was a good one.
All you have is sound bites. It's kind of boring and useless.
Yeah,
Yeah, you like that,
I wonder why sound bites are part of your search for truth theory.
That's because he knows he's lying and he knows he's wrong.
You're not really in a search for truth, and you're just playing some silly game on the internet.
No, it's just a funny soundbite. You don't have a sense of
laughing.
humor today, do you? Drink some coffee, drink some tea, wake up, get your sense of humor back. But yeah, what did Jesse Kozlowski do wrong? Well, the first thing he did wrong is come on the internet and start pretending like he measured curve, talking about tilt that Belu taught him about, right? Making a fool out of himself. And now
We're not asking you to attack his character. We're not asking you to attack his character. We're asking you to tell.
I don't even know the man.
You were laughing at Rakir last night about Belu, though, weren't you? Not knowing that Belu inspired Jesse to find the tilt.
We're asking what was wrong with Jesse's method.
Tilt. Do you guys not understand about tilt?
Be more specific.
Again, what we understand is irrelevant.
You hear curve. He says tilt. You say
you guys understand.
Curvature. He never actually said anything like that.
What we understand again.
You imagined. He used the right
So
words.
you got anything other than just blabber, Cleary, or was that it?
I've watched all of Jesse's videos. Have you watched them? Have you analyzed what he
quite
did?
a lot of them. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. So
Yeah, well, the surveying practices that professionals use is nowhere near what he does, right? He gets out there looking long range.
What evidence do you have
just
of
using
that?
the equipment. I would say that he abuses surveying
So
instruments.
what evidence do you have that that's true, that you've just said? That he's doing a different type of surveying to the professionals?
Because he's not measuring anything. I mean, which one are you talking about? You talking about when he's going across the bridge, just taking data points from,
you're saying
from the GPS
that his
twin,
technique,
triangular
you're saying
tower?
that his technique is incorrect. I'm asking you, in what way is his technique incorrect?
Putting a thing on the roof of your car and driving across a bridge.
No, I don't have 48 hours, and I don't believe that you need 48 hours to explain it. I think that that's a crappy excuse because you can't explain it. So,
okay, well,
let's not bother
surveying
with the
instruments are
48-hour
used.
thing. Just tell me one thing that you think he's done incorrectly in his technique.
Yeah, when he's looking across the lake, right, he's using surveying instruments to look out of range, out of the instrument's functional range, okay? That's one thing. And you're going to get perspective drop. So you take and look across a body of water and you see that your target looks lower, right? Because it's out of range due to perspective drop. Any surveyor will tell you, what the fuck is this guy doing with
Perspective
these
drop?
instruments?
Yeah, what the hell is perspective drop? Is it, will a surveyor
Oh my God, are we going back to the slur
will a
perspective
surveyor
argument
tell me about
3 years ago?
perspective drop? Will a surveyor tell me about that? A professional surveyor. He will be taking account of perspective.
Yeah, he'll say not to go over a certain distance. Yes, they will.
You ever heard Nathan Oakley talk about they hijack
Yes, I made a
perspective and
video
call
on
it Earth curve?
Yes, Cleary, I made a video on it.
Right, that's what it is. Perspective drop is an optical
it's
effect.
Complete and utter bollocks.
Yeah, because
How is
that's
that
what you
complete?
believe.
How is it complete?
It can be demonstrated to be true.
How is it complete and utter bollocks?
Go and watch my video on the subject.
Can you just?
Are you an expert?
Could you give us a little summary?
Well, he's claiming that if you're looking at, say, a building that is, I don't know, 3 miles
you can pitch it between
away,
your fingers, right?
or
You
let's
can
say
crush
10
it.
miles. Why are you talking, Cleary?
Because you watched that old.
Did you
Kids in the
think
Hall,
that
right?
would aid? Did you think it would aid my explanation if you talked in the middle of it?
Yeah, things look smaller in the distance, right?
That's what he says, and he says that that because things look smaller in the distance, that changes how much of them we can see in relation to an obstructive horizon.
I agree with you. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and that's bollocks.
Oh, wait.
Foolish has put one there, Cleary. You know, the other day you were asking about plane surveying.
Hold on.
Check in the debate chat box.
Because dickhead Cleary wants to play a stupid word game, doesn't he? So, I was saying what Nathan Oakley said. That is the thing that we were discussing, that you brought into the conversation. You told me I should listen to Nathan Oakley. So that is what we were talking about. I wasn't making those claims. And you know that very well. So I wonder why you tried to play that silly little game there where, why did you do that, Cleary? Why is this dishonest approach necessary? It should tell you something.
Anyway, Bev was trying to speak.
Yeah, well, I had to mute
But Cleary, like...
Are you going to answer? Why did you do that, Cleary?
Why did I do what? Oh, tell you about
did you
perspective and
pretend?
things shrink.
Why did you pretend that you suddenly, it was me making those claims and we weren't talking about Nathan Oakley anymore? When our entire conversation... When our entire conversation up to that point
it seemed like you were saying
Oakley.
what you were saying.
Why are you talking while I'm talking?
Nathan Oakley. Because you asked me a question, so I was answering it.
Well, I hadn't finished asking it, had I?
Oh, yeah, well, anyway,
I hadn't heard your answer, so can you answer again? Why did you do that?
Oh, because I think it's funny that you're Nathan Oakley parroting and everyone could hear you do it. That was cool. Talking about perspective. Something that you apparently understand.
Listen.
So, hold on a minute. Let's just get this clear. So we were having a conversation about Nathan Oakley's claim. And because during the conversation about Nathan Oakley's claim, I said Nathan Oakley's claim, you took that to mean it's funny because I'm saying Nathan Oakley's claim.
Yeah, for a moment there, I was like,
that's hilarious, Cleary.
Apparently, you do understand perspective.
I can see how funny it would be that you would introduce something into the conversation and then people would talk about that thing. I can see how hilarious that must be. Great trick, Cleary. Really, really well pulled off there. Good job.
So, let's get to the primary point here. You do understand perspective, right?
Yeah, the primary point is you're playing games. Why?
No.
I've just outlined one and you've admitted to it. So why? Why are you doing that?
So if you're standing in front of the Eiffel Tower right next to it, it's pretty big, right? But if you travel 10 miles away and you look at it, it looks smaller. Yeah, I'm trying to answer you, but you want to lay that verbiage down on top of it.
There's a question on the table already, Cleary. Why are you asking me something?
Well, I answer your questions over and over. I'll answer them 25 different ways if you want.
I fail to see how you introducing something to the conversation and then it being talked about is funny. Where's the funny in that?
Oh, okay. Well, I introduced the Nathan Oakley perspective, right? Yeah, and you quoted it, and now here we are. We both understand it. We're on the same page, man. This is great. We're really moving forward in the conversation.
Well, you're not, because you lied again. I clarified what my position was, and you've just tried to pull the same stunt again. So
do you think that
you're out of the conversation for at least the next hour? Fuck you.
He can spend the next hour trying to find a citation from a professional surveying book about...
Because that's for making you agree with Nathan Oakley.
Perspective drop.
Well, I've just thrown up about 15 different videos on surveying methodology. All talking about the difference between planar and geodesic surveying and what the differences are when you use
250 square kilometres. What's that about?
Here. Just one... Bev, I'll promise I'll shut up after this. One problem here is we have textbook explanations.
Yeah.
Hang on. We've got textbook explanations, and where the waters get muddied is when people like Nathan Oakley come up with some, word game term that isn't rooted in anything, and it makes Flat Earth look fucking stupid. He's really good at that. Thanks, Nathan.
I agree. I agree with you.
Flat Earth is fucking stupid, Mel.
No, there's a big difference between certain characters LARPing that they know what they're talking about and those who do.
Actually,
he muddies the waters all the time.
Fair enough, Merle. Nathan is dishonest and plays word games. Could you point me to a flat earther who doesn't do that?
Right.
Gav?
Who?
Gav, Vortex Puppy.
I'm not really familiar with that person.
Gels, mate, the one that claims that because we've got spherical eyeballs, we can't figure out what's straight and what's curved.
No, that's not the claim. That's a misrepresentation, Gem. That's not fair.
That's what
has Gav ever?
Absolutely
Has Gav?
what they say.
No,
That's
it
what
isn't.
Del reverts to whenever you point out a curve.
It isn't. It isn't.
Says,
That's your
you've got curved
misunderstanding.
eyeballs.
No, it's your misunderstanding of it.
That's one of Lemon's facts too, isn't it?
Clarify what Gav's killer argument is.
So, if you have train tracks converging in the distance, why is that?
Is it spherical eyeballs?
Optical.
That's not an argument, Merle. That's a silly question.
It's going to be spherical eyeballs, guys. It's
I mean, are they really converging in the distance?
Merle, we just talked about this.
No, what could it be that's making that happen?
Could it be our eyes?
What?
Merle, you understood.
Wow.
What's that?
You are stupid, aren't you?
Merle, you just agreed with me the other day about the geometry of this.
Yeah, I'll show you how Stadia hairs work, Merle. You'll be blown away, man. Blown away.
So I can use a pinhole camera, Merle, that doesn't have a lens at all, and I can take a picture and I can show that same convergence.
So what's causing?
So there's
that
no lens
convergence?
involved. Yeah, so there's no lens involved at all. There's no shape involved at all. It's just a pinhole camera, and we can do that.
What's causing the convergence?
Perspective, angular resolution.
Which is
the appearance that things get smaller as they get further away due to angular resolution, and because of that, you tend to get things like parallel lines looking like they're getting closer.
Not angular resolution.
Size. Sorry, angular size.
Yeah, perspective compression, I call it.
That's not.
Doesn't have anything to do with our eyes, though, right?
That's
correct. Because I eliminated that by using a pinhole camera.
Which you use your eyes to look through.
No, you don't. You just take a picture. There's no.
So if you didn't have eyes, how would you know what would the pinhole camera show if you didn't have eyes?
Well, if you didn't have eyes, you couldn't see anything, could you? So
there you go.
There
you go. So you got to account for it somewhere along.
That is really bad.
Vortex. I will shut up after this. I promise. Vortex Puppy is
and I can print it out in Braille, and I can make it textured, and you'd observe the same thing through touch.
All right. Well, if you say so.
So could I? Yeah. Well,
Trust speaks.
I can make that surface textured, and I could represent those parallel lines from the picture directly. So there's no change in it. And now I'm using a nice textured surface, and I can feel those lines getting closer together. So it's nothing to do with my eyes.
You need to do some more homework, son. Right? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Run away, Merle. Go on.
There's no one running away. I'm well rooted in this subject. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you are well rooted, all right.
Stand on truth.
Can I ask a question?
From the IQ of a plant.
That was a really funny statement, especially for an Aussie, because it means you just said you're well fucked.
But, I stand on truth.
And don't be rude to plants,
I trust
Brenda.
my senses. Trust my senses.
That's true.
Can I ask a question?
The plants are more useful than Merle.
Why don't you
trust my senses? I have common sense. A rational mind doesn't matter what any.
Why wouldn't you trust your sense of touch?
Fuck you all. Suck my dick.
No.
Can I ask a question?
Why wouldn't you trust your sense of touch when it's confirming what your eyes are seeing?
It's another subject. We were just talking about why railway lines converge in the distance.
Mel, you like geometry, don't you? And you know, if you heard the bridge of
I'll shut up after this, Bev, I promise.
No, I want to talk to you. This is pretty relevant, right? You know, have you heard of the bridge of asses in geometry? It's like proposition 5, 5th exercise. Right? You either get it or you don't, and if you don't pass that bit, right? Well, It's isosceles triangle and equal bits, right? Have a look in the debate chat box there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Principle of triangles.
Mhm.
Basic Euclidean geometry. You know what the Stadia method is?
Can't say I do, Bev.
It's within an optical scope. I'll explain it
what's
to you.
that?
I mean,
Hang
I
on,
don't think
hang
these
on.
guys will really get it. They're going to
Hang
flip
on.
out in a minute.
No, quick question. Why are you claiming that they're all isosceles? Why have you changed values?
Change values on what?
So you don't even know how to read your own bullshit.
No, it's just a principle of Stadia method thing that they've just put there, right? You see, this is why I was speaking to Merle specifically.
Have to do with
Merle will
curvature?
understand what's going to happen right now, right? And exactly why this is why it's called the bridge of asses. Because you either get it or you
nothing
don't.
to do with any of the conversation, mate. It's bullshit.
What this? The Stadia method, principle of measuring distance.
Where's the perspective drop in that?
Where does it say in this thing that you're showing here? It says nothing about distance.
Wow.
Or that things will drop.
I know, like
distance due to
it's not for everyone. Don't worry about it.
No, where in your principle of Stadia method does it say this is a measure of distance?
It is the function of the geometry. Can you not see that?
No. Where in that thing? If you presented that to someone and said this is how you measure distance due to perspective, it doesn't say any of that.
I
what
would
you've
go
got
into it
written
more,
there.
but like I've just explained to Merle, like some people can't get it. They'll never get it. They'll never be able to understand it at all. And that's okay.
Where does it say distance?
Good on you, Paul.
But Bev, this has absolutely nothing to do with perspective drop.
I had a question for Merle, but then Bev kind of stepped.
I say, okay, I'm
Go on, Mole Man, and then I'll shut up too. I don't want to hold up the.
You keep making that promise, Merle, but you don't keep it.
Well, I promise this time.
Well, you don't keep that promise, so why would
let Mole Man get his question, and he's been really patient, guys. Come on.
Yeah, so if I take a picture of like parallel train tracks with a pinhole camera, and I measured the distance in the picture between the lines at the bottom and at the top, and I get a different difference in the reading, is it because of the I don't know, my eyeballs somehow affecting the measuring tape?
Well, I can ask you the same question with power lines.
Yeah.
Are they really getting smaller, or is it just the laws of perspective?
Instead of asking a question, could you...
But yeah, I can answer. It's the laws of perspective, and it has nothing to do with our eyeballs.
It has everything to do with our eyeballs. That's the point.
Oh, because I can take a picture of the power lines, and they still appear to get smaller, even though I don't use my eyeballs to take the picture. I can measure it with a physical measuring tape.
They're not really getting smaller, though, are they?
Well, they appear to be because they are further away.
They appear to be, exactly. That's all I'm going to say. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, there's a geometric
so it has nothing to do with the eyeballs, just optics.
Yeah.
Any optic.
Yeah. That was a brilliant point there, Merle. Brilliant point.
And are you being facetious?
I'm being facetious.
Oh, well, I thought you were being quite good. I mean, there is definitely a relationship between the distance and the size
See,
of
Brenda,
an object.
you just exposed them.
Well, I didn't.
They thought you were being complimentary.
Would you say that the picture that you posted of the Stadia thing, that it has nothing to do with the bottom-up obstruction? Things don't obstruct from bottom-up due to perspective.
For when you're viewing objects, that's what I was just supporting Merle.
Ah, okay, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
I mean, some weird stuff happens when you look at the horizon with a camera or anything like that, right?
Oh, well.
Some real funky stuff.
Sorry, Bev, I'm the obstruction expert.
Oh, God, it's here.
But I'm just saying, if in terms of measurement, Bev,
You're breaking up, Chemo.
Yeah, you should leave and come back in about 5 hours.
Or 5 days.
5 years.
When they actually come with some real evidence would be the best.
There we go.
That'd be never. That would be never, Dad.
I know, but hang on.
But
I'm
yeah,
talking to
I
someone
agree
else.
with that. I agree with that. Yeah, let's make it that when they come back, when they've got some actual evidence, which would be never.
Yeah.
No,
and
you were
this is
asking
the thing.
Bev about the.
Chemo!
You were
What are
asking
you
Bev about
doing?
the. You were asking
What are you
Bev about
doing?
the obstruction. You were asking Bev about the obstruction, and again,
no.
How to explain obstruction?
No, they didn't mention obstruction.
Yeah, we didn't. No, we weren't talking about obstruction, Chemo.
Yeah, that's what you were talking.
No, we weren't talking about it.
We weren't, Chemo. Pay attention to the conversation, maybe.
Yes, that's what.
Chemo's here. Chemo, you dipped. We had a discussion yesterday about falsifiability, and then you just seemed to disappear.
We can get to that. Carry on, Bev. Sorry,
Just gonna make Chemo disappear again.
Oh, Chemo's dipping out already. His egg. He's like, no, fuck that. I'm out.
Just dipped, bro. We were
Carry on,
having a
Bev.
fruitful discussion about the scientific method and falsifiability.
We can get into that as just straight after this with Bev and I thought Marman was saying.
So I was fully erect.
So, Chemo, what do you think of George Lakatos's critique of Popper?
Of what? Sorry,
Lakatos and his critique of Popper.
That's Modus Tollens, right?
I'm not sure if he gave the full.
Goes back to antiquity.
Analyst. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure I agree.
What do you think? What don't you agree with him on?
Well, he said various things. To me, it would need a lot more clarity, right?
For you to actually have read anything he said.
Anyway, so let's proceed. As we proceed.
So Lakatos, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but he's famous for critiquing Popper's falsifiability criterion.
You mean Modus Tollens?
No. You're out of your depth here.
No, that's what Modus Tollens is,
no,
right?
No, it isn't. You're way out of your depth.
Negating the consequent. Surely.
No.
Yeah. There's no older form of argument. Falsifiability, Modus Tollens. Don't be mistaken that dude doing it for science. He just applied that to science.
Why would you kind of confuse yourself with that? In like, the point was what George Lakatos was saying. So I read what George Lakatos was saying.
Yeah, falsifiability. Yeah, but you can't sort of say something about that goes back. The oldest form of argument goes back to antiquity. That was known first.
Yeah, but no one is talking about the oldest form of argument. You're just assuming that everyone talking about these things nowadays has to be using the oldest form. It's idiotic. We all see right through you, Bev and Kimo. You don't know what the hell you're talking about or what Brenda's talking about.
Let's proceed to give you what you need. I think you want to understand perspective or something. A bit confusing for Globers or stuff. Obviously things get smaller, but when it comes to the horizon, when things go beyond that, you're not dealing with the physical structure. So I don't know if that's what you were saying, Mole Man. I'm sure I heard him say something along those lines. But before that, can we get Cleary back? Has he been a bad boy?
Yeah,
Cleary,
put him back.
Yeah, give the Globers, because it's kind of like therapy for them to get out there side of events. They want to be able to get their story straight, and it's flat. Yeah.
How do you think they've done this morning with their the geometry? I don't think they're up to speed on the geometry. I really don't.
Oh, wait up, Kimo, did you say that the Earth is flat?
The thing is, though, Bev, as I keep pointing out to you, the shape of the Earth is not dependent upon the knowledge of anyone in this room. It just isn't.
I know. Nobody can affect anything in reality.
Why is there any
basic
consequence if people do or do not understand geometry? How does that help you in any way?
And you admitted an hour or so ago, Bev, that you only know the basics of geometry, and when Paul was speaking to you earlier, you got confused and lost when he was trying to make a point that even I could understand. And I'm hopeless at geometry and math.
Oh, really? Okay. That's fine.
Kimo, did you say that the Earth is flat?
It's a revolution.
Kimo, did you say that is the Earth flat?
It's a rev. Are you singing a song or no singing?
No, is the Earth flat?
Singing.
He's singing a song.
Kimo.
The Earth is flat. So look, yes, the Earth is stationary. It's not flat like a mirror or a window. Don't
in
mean
the
like
true
that.
sense of
What
the
it
word
means-
flat, the literal sense of the word flat, right?
Yeah,
I understand
you have to
people
point
use
this out when
it,
Bev is in the
colloquial
room.
use of the word
No, because-
flat, but I
because
don't.
Marmo's being silly.
Because the
He's
term
saying-
flat Earth means something different to Bev than it does to everyone else. in
Yeah,
the
I
world.
use the words properly, right?
And it has to be
Yeah.
pointed out to him every
Yeah.
single time it's used.
Yeah.
Well,
Coming from a
not just a
literal,
silly word
like,
game tactic at all.
geometrical stance, I can't take the position that it's something it isn't. It's all right. I understand other people call it whatever.
You don't have
I
to.
can't.
You don't have to. You just use the
I
word
just live in
the meaning that
reality.
everyone else uses it to mean.
Two
What's the
dimensional.
lowest? Hold on.
Simple
What's
as
the
that.
lowest? What's the lowest elevation we know on the land? Is it like underwater or something, right? But not in water. What's the lowest land? Is that the
Is that where the Dead
Death
Sea,
Valley?
Dead
The
Sea
Death-
is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Death-
Death Valley.
I thought it was the Red Sea.
Mm,
Or the
okay.
Dead Sea.
Maybe.
So
Somewhere around
either
there.
way, so there's no land lower than that. So that's what we mean about elevate. So you got the land higher, lower. With water, this doesn't happen. It stays at the same level.
Actually, that's not true. Unfortunately, Kimo, that's not 100% true. When you measure things actually accurately, for instance, the elevation of the water, sea level is a mean, because the sea level actually changes in elevation depending where it is on Earth.
Yeah, you see those numbers in the chat there, look. They're the calculated numbers. You agree with them, right, Brenda?
Do you understand what I said? Sea
Roo
level
His,
is a mean.
whatever. Puppies, give us a couple of them. Brad the Science
No, hold
Guy.
on a second. Let me try and clear this. So, Brenda, you're saying there's water higher. I don't mean because of the land. Like you've got like a fountain and you've got like water up there and water down here. I don't mean like that. Once all the water is
yeah.
How can it then? How can it raise up? How does that happen?
Well, in one case, for instance, Antarctica, the gravity caused by the continent of Antarctica actually pulls the sea higher and closer
you
to
don't
it.
understand. You don't understand hydrostatic equilibrium. Equal atmospheric pressure causes a horizontal surface. Okay, you're talking
Yeah.
about something that you don't even understand.
I'm talking about the fact that Antarctica is so massive, the ice in the continent, that the sea level is higher, closer to Antarctica, because of the gravitational attraction of the entire continent.
Yeah, your cause and effect is flawed, right? It's just a belief system. You know that.
By the way, Gem, did you read out these super chat? You read them out.
And also winds and currents can also pile up water in certain regions to make it higher.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of wind
Yeah.
down there, right? It's very, very windy.
Well, yeah, actually, in that area it is. Yeah.
So, Brenda, you have to concede because you know water is not at a higher level like the land, right?
We're up to date with the super chats.
Oh, you're up to date. Okay, just so, Brenda, unless you can show water level at a different elevation, not because of the land, just the water. Then you'll have your ball because you will have the water.
I don't know what you mean. I don't understand.
So,
I was just telling you that sea level is a mean, and that the actual elevation of the water, right above the geoid or whatever they call that again, it changes in locations on Earth.
The sea level is the reference, Brenda. That's the whole
No,
point.
no, it actually
yes,
isn't.
Yes, it is.
It isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, The geodesic is the reference.
Yeah, in
Look,
the UK,
Brenda,
we
it's very
just use
simple.
sea level.
See, everyone, mate, this is really, it's very simple, Brenda. Okay. So when you look at the horizon, beyond that horizon, you're saying the water is at a lower elevation, lower than the water we see now. Yeah?
I don't know what you mean.
The water beyond the horizon, is it higher, same level, or lower? Exactly.
I don't know what you.
Welcome to Flat Earth. It's as simple as that.
I don't know what you mean.
Right. Again, you look at the horizon. The water that's beyond the horizon, is it lower, higher, or at the same elevation?
Well, within certain degrees of error, it's at the same elevation.
Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Never exactly. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Within the
Based on
degrees of
That's
error.
not true. Elevation simply means distance from the mean.
What
the
error?
geoid.
What error are you imagining there is?
Well, all
with a
measurements.
water level?
All measurements introduce error, don't they?
A water level doesn't know. A water level establishes.
Sure, it does. You have to measure it.
You have to measure the water level. No. You use the water level as your frame of reference. That is the level.
All
right?
measurements have degrees of tolerance in the instrument, right?
The water level, it doesn't need calibrating or anything. The water level is.
It was shown an hour ago how a water level can be affected by pressure changes and how it can't be accurate to a certain.
Yeah, hydrostatic equilibrium. Yeah. Cleary's point, but I mean, hey.
Brenda, again, very simple. You look at the horizon, ships going down. You said you tell us every day, ships go beyond the horizon. Sun goes beyond the horizon. That's going lower, that's at a lower elevation. So does the water...
No, it's not.
The boat's not at a lower elevation. It's at the same level.
That's correct. It's not going at a different elevation. Within degrees of error, the ship on the horizon is at the same level as the water lapping at your feet.
Yeah, so when I look at the boat, is it going down below my eye level, below the horizon, or is it at the same as my eye level?
It's perspective, right? You're talking
So,
about
you
you're
sound
changing.
like a universal horizontal water.
Using two different concepts of level changeably.
Yeah, he is.
No, because we have a straight horizontal to the horizon.
Yeah,
So
he's using level the same all the time. As do I, as does Cleary, and most of the people.
No, you don't.
We
You
don't
don't
change.
It's like
what
talking
we think
to a
of when we
5-year-old
say
with you,
level.
Bev. So let the adults talk. So chemo, when the water at my feet and the water at the horizon are at the same level.
Yep.
And it's curved.
Okay, fine. But then at the horizon, the water that's going, what's happened to that water? Is it at the same level?
I just said it is.
Beyond the horizon?
Yeah, it's all at the same level.
Is it at the same same elevation?
Yes, that's what I mean.
So the air curves and it makes the water curve? Is that what you're saying? You must be like a dome earth.
Level means curved, right?
No.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
That's how it's used.
You've heard people say that in Discord chats and stuff.
I've seen the
You've
documents.
never heard anybody say that in reality.
I've seen the documents
You've never talked to a
that go back to the
surveyor or
19th
anything
century.
All right, Brenda. So let me ask you: you take a football, the spirit level, at the spirit level on the vertical, is that level?
That's ridiculous, Kimo.
Hold on, Davos. Let me ask it again. You get the
You mean
ball.
an American football? They're pointy at the ends.
Yeah, American football. Any ball, any circular object.
Well, the American football isn't circular. It's pointy.
Well, yeah, there's like a whatever.
You mean a soccer ball, don't you? Not a football. Real football is played with the pointy one.
Could be a rugby ball. I'm
trying to.
We use those balls, Brenda, in rugby. Same ball.
Kimo's ball.
So anyway, Brenda, if we put the spirit level on the vertical, will we be level?
on a soccer ball or a basketball as being an analog for the Earth, the level conforms to the curvature of the ball.
It's perpendicular to vertical, though, right? Isn't it?
I didn't hear what you said.
It's perpendicular to vertical, isn't it? Level.
Oh, geez, you just want to say words, Bev.
Yeah, it's like,
It's a proper
perpendicular to
geometrical-
what?
Yeah, to vertical. Plumb bob.
What vertical? There's
A plumb
vertical.
bob. Yeah.
Which you have to establish the vertical first.
Yeah, the plumb bob establishes the vertical. Is
we didn't do
level
that.
perpendicular to that?
But we didn't do that.
You meant to say, Bev, is horizontal perpendicular to vertical.
No, level. No, level. We're talking about level. Where
But that's not what we're
is
doing
level
here.
in relation to
Yes, we are,
vertical?
Davros.
No,
that's reality,
you're talking about
right?
putting a level on a curved surface. Nothing to do with a fucking vertical.
Well, I asked, is it?
I'm talking to
perpendicular?
Chemo.
If you can't answer it, don't worry. I mean, like, it's,
I'm
it's
asking
a
the
bit
same
too
thing.
awkward.
You put the level on the vertical. What on the side of the basketball? Will it be level?
Hang on, how do you get it? How can you call it vertical on the side of a ball? How do you know when you're at
well
that
done.
point?
I've got to get going.
Exactly.
It's been
Welcome
nice chatting, guys.
See, Bev. Welcome to Flat Earth. How? Say it again.
I'm asking you. I'm
Say it
asking
again.
you.
Vertical
It
on
was
the
a
side of the
question,
ball.
not a
Brilliant.
statement.
Yeah, well done.
What did he say, Bev? Did you hear what he said?
Yeah. He said, "How do you have a vertical coming from the side of a ball or something like that?"
We've got to hear back because he said, "How do you get the level on the or something like that?" Which means
Jesus
can't
Christ.
do-
Question.
Right, I've got to
It
get
was
going.
a question.
See you later, guys. That's been good. Got to go.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
You twat. How do we know? How do we know the Earth is not flat?
We don't. It's flat.
That was that.
Of your understanding of the world in which you live, then of course the world looks flat. The world looks flat. The world looks flat.
Neil,
Bitch. You twat.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
That's what I do. 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 What I do.
But I don't have much patience for anyone who denies that this challenge is real. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. Flat Earth Society.
My friends, these people are so out of touch with science. You don't need to be a scientist to know that the Earth is round.
They must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round.
Like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash.